Welcome to the first ever episode of The Tune-Up. We are delighted for you to join us here. We've got an exciting show ahead. Let's bring us in here. And boy, we've got a great panel of motorsports enthusiasts here for what hopefully is a long-lasting and enjoyable running show. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Thanks for waiting here. If you're in the chat, we've already got a couple commenters. Hello to Ave, Tyler, Axel, all in the waiting room waiting for us to start. And we're glad you're here. My name is Zach Tefelsky, otherwise known as Zachary MT, and we've got our brand new show, The Tune-Up, a Motorsports Talk Show Production. Today, I'm joined by some frequent panelists that you might as well get used to. They'll probably be here throughout the duration of this show. Above me here on my screen, you see Derek Smith. Derek, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello, Zach. I'm a big motorsports enthusiast. I've known these people here for years at this point. We all have known each other online for a long time. And, just NASCAR and F1 are probably my specialties when it comes to motorsports. And although we won't talk about F1 probably today, you might expect that in the future.
Absolutely. To the left of Derek Smith on my screen, you see Marcus Vanderlee wearing the red shirt. Marcus, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Marcus Vanderlee. I'm a lifelong motorsport fan, particularly NASCAR, but I also do open myself up to any other motorsport category. As you can see in my background, I don't know if you can tell in my background, Kyle Busch fan. So I do think I'm pretty useful for motorsport knowledge, especially NASCAR knowledge.
And last but certainly not least, to my left, maybe the most frequent panelist you'll see on the show is none other than Cody Sill. Cody, I see you're a bit comfortable there laying on your pillow, but how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right here. Yeah, no doubt. Really looking forward to this. Absolutely. Grew up loving motorsports here, and I try to knowledge myself on motorsports every single day. Absolutely love it here, from open road racing here to stock cars to short tracks to dirt racing, anywhere in between. That's where I like to be my specialty, all over the place. So really excited to do this show with you guys, and can't wait to see where this takes us.
And I couldn't have said it better myself. As I introduce myself, you can just call me Zach. I'm Zach Tefelsky. My YouTube name is Zachary MT. And just to quickly, kind of introduce my interest, certainly in the realm of motorsports, much like the panel we'll have on the show, we all kind of view motorsports from a North American lens. Our primary motorsports we will cover is going to be NASCAR as well as other North American motorsports. But while we are NASCAR centric, I don't want to say we are NASCAR exclusive. And certainly in this opening show, since the NASCAR season has not even started yet, we are really trying to kind of branch out here, talk about all the different great motorsports, because while we are all essentially primary NASCAR fans, we absolutely appreciate and just love what every single motorsport on this planet has to offer, and there's really none that is superior to the other. Today, as you could see in the description, we've got a great topic of things to go through, a great list of topics, I should say, and we're going to get into that as the show goes on. Real quick, let's kind of set the stage, though. In this episode today, as the thumbnail suggests, we are absolutely graced. In our first ever episode, guys, we're going to talk to one of the young and up and coming, really talented dirt racers. Dominic Gorden will be joining us here in a matter of moments, and we're excited to be able to get the chance to talk to him. We're grateful for his time as well. But as far as other topics we hope to go through, NASCAR still is season news. It continues to ramp up, and we are on the first official race week of the NASCAR season. Even if it's not a regular season race, the Clash is this weekend. Additionally, we're going to try and talk about the Chili Bowl as it relates certainly to our guests that'll be joining us as well. And we're also going to try and recap the Rolex 24. What a crazy race that was. That happened just recently this week, and both that and the Chili Bowl, some of the first official races a lot of people like to view to really kick off the new calendar year of motorsports racing around the globe. Like I said, the Clash. We're going to take some time to preview that as that race weekend is coming up this Sunday. And we're also going to make some race picks as well. That's certainly going to be the exciting, consistent thing we'll try to do every single weekly show. Certainly, as the NASCAR season starts, we're going to try and make our NASCAR picks every single week. And then what I really like to try and convey with the tune-up show, guys, is that we'd like it to be interactive. Of course, we're filming it live. We have a great audience of viewers joining us. And every single show, we're going to try and interact with the audience throughout. But if anything else, at the end of every show, we're going to have a guaranteed interaction situation where we open it up to our viewers, the audience in the chat room, the ones that have taken the time to spend some time with us and share our affection for motorsports. We want to open it up at the end of the show and let people kind of pose their own motorsports questions. What do you want to talk about with us? And certainly it's going to be very personable. Hopefully, we'll look at what you guys want to talk about. We'll talk about it with you. Maybe some hot topics, some tough questions to be answered, all under the umbrella of motorsports. And we'll try to get to everyone as well. Another interactive topic here. That we'll try to get in with the chat room is let's rate some of these NASCAR paint schemes as well, and that'll hopefully be a fun thing. That basically, though, runs down what we're going to be doing in the show today. And while we have one last moment here before we try to bring on our special guest, Dominic Gorden, guys, let's try and give the viewers a taste of what the tune-up is going to be about for hopefully our future shows going forward. We're going to try and film one every single week. Maybe Monday will be the time and place for that, like it is right now. Who knows? But as we kind of alluded to in our introduction, the tune-up. It's a Motorsports Talk Show Production. I want to give a quick shout out to the man in the top left, Marcus Vanderlee. He really had a big hand in helping us make our graphics for the show, thumbnails, and everything else. And it's going to be a show that's, like I said, NASCAR centric. We're all North American motorsports fans. That's kind of the lens how we view things in. As the logo would suggest, I mean, it is an outline of a Ford Fusion after all. Our shows primarily will be based around NASCAR and the discussions of the NASCAR season. However, not exclusive to NASCAR. While we're going to build all of our shows going forward around certainly the NASCAR happenings, and certainly as the Daytona 500 rolls around, every show will be primarily built around the NASCAR race for that week. But boy, I mean, we've got such a diverse panel here today. We've got Cody Sill, who helped us get Dominic Gorden on the show. Cody is one heck of a dirt racing fan. He'll be able to provide a lot of dirt racing insight throughout the year. And Derek Smith, I mean, you see the shirt he's wearing. He's always trying to keep up with the F1 season as it goes on. And Marcus Vanderlee, same could be said for him. He's a NASCAR guy. You can see it decorated in his room. But, I mean, he's always keeping up with F1. And if it's not F1, for me, I'm big into IndyCar. I go to the Indianapolis 500 every year. It's a family tradition for me. And we're always going to try and make sure everyone on the panel, myself included, is always trying to keep up with all the motorsports because that's what we will do. I mean, I'm a NASCAR fan first, but I'm an IndyCar fan almost equally as good as I am a NASCAR fan. I like to keep up with F1 as well. And even in the areas that I admittedly am not as hardcore in, while I still like to think I'm pretty good following all those motorsports. I've got Dar to my top here. He's always trying to keep up with F1. Like I said, Cody Sill, always trying to keep up with dirt racing as well. That's really what the tune-up is going to be about. While it's NASCAR first and our shows are primarily built around NASCAR, we're going to try and figure out how can we spread the love and try to branch out to as many viewers as possible. What type of motorsports can we talk about? And at the end of the day, guys, it's about having a nice, fun, relaxed conversation. We kind of joked about it going in. This is not supposed to be like a TV show. This is supposed to be a nice, fun, relaxing, interactive live viewing experience where it's kind of like talking at a lunch table per se or a water cooler at work. It's all about us just kind of showing our love for motorsports and as well as sharing it with the world. We're very appreciative of all of you that have joined us here today. And I'm glad that I could introduce all four of us as well as give an outlook for what the tune-up is going to be about. And we've got our guest, Dominic Gorden, waiting on us here. So, well, I'm going to try and reach out to him, see if he's ready to talk. Derek, I want to ask you, what are you looking forward to most in just this year of racing? Is there anything that sticks out? I know that's a very, very broad question, but I want to start with you.
Yeah, it is a very broad question, but I think any year that I'm looking forward to racing, just the overall battles on track, whether it's F1, NASCAR, IndyCar, and then I know it's kind of grim to say, but also some of the wrecks are also cool to look at every once in a while. You always want them to be safe and all that, but definitely nice to see a good wreck once in a while. And I just hope that every single motorsport league this year is very competitive, and I'll be looking forward to that.
Absolutely. What about you, Marcus Vanderlee? Anything that sticks out to you in the entire 2025 calendar year of auto racing?
Well, I mean, when you look at NASCAR, you see all these changes that they've made going into this year. You know, they added Mexico State to the schedule. Obviously, next weekend, next Sunday, we go to Bowman-Gray Stadium for the first time since the 70s in NASCAR. I'm looking forward to all the new races and also a lot more great racing compared to what we saw last year, right? We saw a great, probably one of the best seasons racing wise that we've ever had in NASCAR. Unfortunately, might have been overshadowed by a little controversy at the end of the season, but we could follow that up with even more great racing coming into this year.
All right, as you can see, our guest Dominic Gorden has joined. I will give you, Cody, the chance, though, to answer my question as well. What are you looking forward to most in 2025, the year of auto racing?
Yeah, that's a really that's a hard question to ask for on all fronts. I think in racing, you know, and all honesty, motorsports here probably here kind of saw a influx of fans here in the last handful of years, thanks to shows like Drive to Survive. NASCAR also did another thing like that on there and on Netflix, and dirt racing's becoming more and more, I guess, accessible and opening eyes here to new people. I think overall we're set for a fantastic year in racing. No matter where you look, there's always going to be something to watch for, and always going to be something that will catch your eye or intrigue you. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year. Not just one thing, but just the whole thing overall. I think it's a big win for the fans. I think it's a big win for us motorsports fans who's been in it for quite some time. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, and those are all some very good answers. I mean, like I said, it's hard to pick what's going to be good looking at the entire auto racing calendar outlook on the year of 2025. But without further ado, we've had Dominic Gorden waiting to join, taking the time, I should say, to join us here on our very first episode. Could not have thought of a better way to kick it off. And I guess first, let me act like I'm dialing you up here, like you're in a stock car, just to make sure we can hear you. Can you hear us? And can you be heard?
Yeah, I could hear you guys. Can you
All
hear
right.
me?
Yes, that
Yeah, we
does
got
sound
you.
good. All right, Dominic. Like I said, we are very appreciative of you being here. And I guess I just want to first ask, I mean, boy, for you, you've hit the ground running in the year 2025. What has it been like for you as far as busyness and kind of balancing the life aspect with racing so far in just January?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say thank you guys for having me on. This is actually like my first podcast type of deal,
Well,
so
thank
hopefully
you.
it goes well. We've had we started off the year with Chili Bowl. Um, I can't thank first of all Kyle and everybody else who helped us get there enough. But I ran for Kyle Bauman and the Dave.com team. You know, um, we had a good week, I'd say, on my part. Started off the week in practice. We had some good speed. Nothing to write home about in it by any means. But I was lucky to be the only person on the team without a problem. Come my prelim night. Um, yeah, start off our prelim night well. I think I drew about a 40. Started me fourth in the, I want to say, seventh heat. So I thought I'd have a pretty wide track and have a good chance at making up some positions, but unfortunately, they really watered it up for my prelim night, and it was pretty narrow, hard to make some passes. Still got up to second, so can't complain about that. Put us in a qualifier, started third, and did not last at all. I mean, we found out in the end we had a dead bar for that, and started third, and I was running second. We got a yellow, and no, sorry, I was running fourth. The leaders wrecked, and got a yellow. Got to start second, and oh man, I hate to say it, I just got freight trained. I went to the top, got passed on the bottom. I went to the bottom, and then got passed on the top. That was, not my best qualifier ever.
Well, Dominic, I mean, it's certainly, I mean, you can talk about the progressions of racing and that, and I mean, it's certainly, I, no matter what, it's got to be something I feel you have to be excited about. I mean, take yourself not even 10, but 5 years ago in your life. Could you have pictured being where you are right now, starting this month of 2025 racing in some of the biggest dirt racing events now? I mean, boy, I mean, you've come a long way. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and no, I absolutely could not have imagined this. I've definitely been, lucky to have a dad that wants to progress me as quick as possible. I mean, I only started dirt racing about 8 years ago. Before that, all I raced is asphalt karts. Um, so, 3 years into my racing career, I was running. I think that was my first year running open at Red Bluff, and I can't say that was my best season ever. I got my first open win there, my only open win there that season. But no, in no way would I have imagined that I'd be running a full NARC and SCCT schedule, and I get to run with the Outlaws and High Limit about 12 times this year. So we got a big year coming up in that sense.
All right, I want to flip it here to Cody Sill, and I mean, he's the one that initially reached out to you. I want to give him the chance because he's also probably the biggest dirt fan out of all of us on the panel today. Cody, introduce yourself, or if you already know Dominic from chatting, but I want to give you the chance to ask him some questions.
Yeah, Dominic, once again, thanks again for coming on. And I gotta say, being able to watch you on Flow through watching Narc and everything, High Limits, and at times able to watch you on the Outlaws as well. It was really cool. I've never really had a guy who I know that races like that and goes out there and performs like you do. It's really cool to say, hey, yeah, I know that guy. And so honestly, it was really awesome to see all that. I did see though. Would you say that one of your biggest performances of the year was during the Super Dirt Cup, the second night there at Skagit? Would you talk about that and getting the 410 win out there?
Yeah, no, that was absolutely my best performance of, I'd say, my whole career. There's not many things that could top that. I mean, that was started off. I think I went about 30th in qualifying, but the way the format works there is it's a 16 car invert for the prelim nights in the A main. So I ended up being 16th in points and got to start on the pole. So we have had just so much speed there at Skagit in the 360 and the 410. I've ran a KPC and a Maxim there this year, and some about that place. We have just been so fast. I'm so excited to go back there this year. But yeah, that was absolutely one of my best performances. Um, I don't think much can top that except for, you know, winning the Super Dirt Cup.
Now, obviously, here on the West Coast here, I think the West Coast here doesn't get the praise that it does. I know that they have some of the most prestigious events, in my opinion, on some sprint car races. Basically, once the Knoxville Nationals end, that's kind of when it kicks into gear. With the addition of the high limits now, and I know like you said, you're still young into this and still newer, but just the amount of competition that you guys get out there nowadays, how tough is it from your perspective, being a young gun and seeing all these big names like Larson or a Sweet, Macedo, Hodenshield, Gravel, all these guys come out there and you're right there in the thick of it with them.
Yeah, definitely. It is a little nerve-wracking at times, but as a driver, I try to keep my composure and not let that get to me. Um, these guys are big names, but we're all racing on the same track. So I think we can. I think we have a lot of speed coming into this year. So I think we have a good chance to put up some good finishes during the outlaw and high limit swings.
No doubt, no doubt. Um, on move to back here to the Chili Bowl. Saturday you were in the second C feature. Didn't get the result that you wanted, obviously though, but still, overall, like you said here, it was really a fun experience, especially since it was your first time out there. Um, but just the day of Saturday, what kind of did you do throughout the day while you waited for your race? Did you get to watch the other races? Were you tuning up with your car? What was your kind of Saturday?
Well, I start off by sleeping in every race day. Sleep in, you gotta. That's like a routine. Skip breakfast, wait till lunch.
I
And
second
then
that.
yeah, I wake up and the first thing I do is I pull up Flow on my phone and rewatch last night. Rewatch my prelim night, I mean. Um, just a whole lot of distracting myself before it comes up. honestly. I mean, it's nerve-wracking running there. It it really gets the blood pumping just walking in that building. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been there, but it's really huge. And
Now, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no worries. Yeah, like you said, not my best performance. I almost want to say that might have been actually my worst finish at the Chili Bowl so far. Um, not to talk down on myself or anything, but um, you know, we just kind of got put behind the 8 ball on our prelim night and was just in the back. I don't have much experience in a midget, especially not recently. Um, so you know, I think we'll just use this as a learning experience and come back next year stronger.
And I want to give the chance here to, before I flip it over to Derek Smith and Marcus, chat, I'd like you to send your questions in as well, excuse me, and we'll see how many of those we can hit for Dominic Gorden as well before he gets on out of here. But let's send over now to Derek. Do you have any questions for Dominic?
Yeah, hey Dominic. I have a two-part question you don't have to answer in complete totality because me personally, I'm not the most credited person of the Chili Bowl. But I just wanted to ask overall in dirt racing. The first part is the overall grind of it. How do you manage to grind with sponsors, the travel, and secondly, the safety of these dirt cars. Um, like, are you concerned at all about the safety whenever you potentially wreck or whatever?
Yeah, so it definitely is a grind. I mean, even during the off season, I still got to be down at the shop just about every day, and just between trying to sell things and buy stuff for this year, and get everything just ready to run, restock the trailer. Along with, I've been doing a lot of kart racing over the winter, so that's kind of slowed down our sprint car progress a little bit, but we'll be ready to rip come March.
And a lot of that
Um,
funding comes from those sponsors.
yes, yes.
Okay, yeah.
We actually just picked up a new one, MPD Express, at a PRI. Got the chance to talk with him, and they gave us a pretty good deal. And then the other one is Gary Silva. He does a lot for us. I mean, that's our number one guy. I mean, he doesn't sponsor very many cars, but he really helps us out a lot. And about the safety too, that's a big concern. I wrecked a few times during the Trophy Cup and the tune-up. I actually didn't even get to run the last night of the Trophy Cup because we were out of frames.
Mm,
That's kind of the harsh reality of racing, is sometimes you just run out.
yeah.
Um, yeah, safety is a big thing, and I don't think some of these sprint cars are safe enough. I mean, we actually last week I just went up to Tyner Hurst. We got a chasm seat mount put in. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's a little like it's this little like puck system. So there's this foam puck in there that uh it's different weights to depending on the driver and the seat weight, and it's a whole bottom seat bar and a back mount. It literally lets the seat, you know, compress on it in the event of a uh how do I even say that? Downward collision, I guess. If you land on the frame rails, no suspension, that's how a lot of people get hurt. I mean, Chase Johnson, for example,
Oh yeah.
right? I mean, that really sucks what happened to him. I
Not
feel so
not
bad.
not to interrupt, but like something similar, like to also Alex Bowman last couple years
Yeah,
ago. Is that okay?
yeah. Alex Bowman came out a lot. I'd say a lot better though.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully Chase is recovering well. I got the chance to talk with him at Chili Bowl. I got a short little FaceTime with him. He pumped me up real well.
Yeah, I'd argue that sprint cars are definitely one of the more dangerous forms of motorsports, with like the
Hmm.
exception of the Isle of Man TT. That's out of this world.
Mm.
But in terms of just over here in America, I'd say that yeah, you definitely take a risk with sprint cars, and yeah, just definitely a risk out there. Thank you for your response.
No worries.
And so last, but certainly not least, here on the panel, let's send it over to Marcus to touch base with Dominic.
Yeah, I want to talk to you mainly about your summer tear you went on during the Northern Speed Week tour, where you went four in a row with wins at Willamette, Southern Oregon, and Gray's Harbor. What was that like, as well as your Skagit win during that summer?
We actually decided to. That was kind of a last minute decision. we had a lot of success during the or sorry, not a lot of success, a lot of speed during the fastest 4 days with NARC at all of those tracks plus some. And so we decided that we'd go hit that speed week instead of running sorry, hold on. Instead of running NARC with a NARC at Santa Maria. And I am so glad we did. I mean, we just went up there and I mean, just killed it. It started off, we had I think it started off at Southern Oregon. We went second quick. Just I had the track record up until Selzy goes out. He's like the second to last car, and he gets me like by a couple hundreds, dude. That would have been my first track record. Ah, that one sucked. Still went on to I think I started fourth that night in the main, and it was really weird. I mean, they kind of put a very loose berm all the way around. So it was completely loose. Like there was, you just get on it and you threw 10 pounds of dirt up the track. So 1 and 2 was pretty much was like so one lane that you had to be right on it. If you were a couple inches out of the groove, like you were just in a whole bunch of dry dust and you slid all the way up to the wall. It was like one of the craziest track surfaces I've ever been on. And you know, none didn't really have any other super spectacular nights like that. Obviously we did really well, but those tracks are just so fun. Something about them, they're all different from what we have here in California. Here in California, I feel like we have a lot of like, we don't have much track character, not the same stuff that they do. I feel like all of our tracks are very similar. A lot of them don't have a wall. It's fun to race on a small track with a wall that because we don't really get to do that around here. I mean, that's a different feeling.
And is like racing. So is racing on a track with a wall versus without a wall? Do you feel like there's more security with a wall, like when it comes to ripping the lip, or do you feel like you like having no wall, like in case you mess up? I mean, worst case scenario, just kind of go off track.
I actually like not having a wall when it comes to ripping the lip because I mean, I get over it sometimes. I'd rather just fall off the track than hit the wall. I feel like, you fall off the track, you lose 5, 10 spots. So what? But you get over the curb and you kill the wall. There goes your Jacob's ladder. You bend a wheel or something. I
Or
I
you just
much
go up in
prefer.
the air and just flip all
That
over the
too.
place.
Yep, just like what I did at Tulare. Yep,
Yeah.
know that all too well.
All right, I have one more. I do have one more question for you, and this is about Bakersfield Speedway closing and their operations moving to the Kern County dirt track. Do you feel like that's going to be any different? The environment, the atmosphere at the track's going to be different, especially with Scott Schweitzer running the track.
hmm I don't know much about Scott. I can't say I've ever met him or talked to him, but I'm really bummed about Bakersfield. I mean, we were actually trying to get them to get NARC to get a few more races there this year. I'd say you could ask just about any California sprint car driver, and they're going to talk really highly of Oildale. So it really sucks to see that place close. I mean, even the Outlaws come into town, and you talk to a lot of them, and they all love that place. Um, I hope Kern can get their track prep in order and give us some good consistent racy tracks. I'd say the NARC show last year was not too bad. That was pretty good. They've definitely been getting better. I saw they had a USAC race there that looked really good. Like they had the track dialed that night. Um, I mean, they're putting a lot of money into it, and it's a super nice facility. Super nice. If any of you guys have ever been there, especially the asphalt track. I'd like to see them put a little more money towards the dirt side of things and, you know, run it like Oildale, I guess.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, before we wrap up here, Dominic, I promised the chat they'd get a chance to send in some questions, and we have one from none other than someone I know is also a big dirt enthusiast. Cole Chandler wanted to ask, what's your thoughts with the extensive tire testing they did at the Chili Bowl?
Oh yeah. So I saw a lot about that. I actually just saw a post earlier today, I think. I don't remember exactly who it was, but I just saw another one that somebody got DQ'd. You know, we're not in that group. We're not doping. But I have heard. I know Clinton Boyles got you know, DQ'd for. I mean, he says obviously we can't really tell, right? We're just outsiders, but he says he wasn't, but clearly something showed up. I don't really think that simple green and grinding your tires is gonna show up on a tire test unless they're, you know, testing for simple green. Um, so I don't exactly know if he was cheating or not, but I think it's a good thing. I think they should really enforce that everywhere. It doesn't seem like it's too big of a problem in sprint cars. I mean, you really don't hear about it much. You don't really hear about it at all, I don't think. Um, but when it comes to those big events, I think it needs to be enforced, you know, everywhere. Sprint cars, midgets, micros. I think that's like real important.
And another question we had was, what's the most rewarding part about dirt racing, Dominic?
Oh, you know what I'm gonna say. It's getting the win. I mean, we work so hard throughout the week and just getting the car ready and, you know, short week sometimes. Sometimes, for example, 4th of July weekend or week, we race that weekend and then in the middle of the week on 4th of July and then that weekend again. You know, that's a tough stretch. And then, you know, it's just so rewarding when you can pick one off. And like, you know, we went up and did that speed week and that was a huge confidence boost because, you know, work so hard and it feels like it finally pays off because it never really feels like it pays off even when you win, but when you can click off a few in a row like that, it really helps. Really helps the self-esteem.
Absolutely. Well, Dominic, one final thing I want to ask here. You've got the chance here, and we've got, uh, tells me most recently, 13 concurrent viewers. What do you want to promote most in your upcoming racing schedule? What are you most exciting for, perhaps?
I'm definitely most excited for the World of Outlaw swing and the high limit swing, but I'm glad to have the beginning of the year one back. Um, Another thing I'm very excited for is Calistoga and Paris as well. You know, I thought I'd never get the chance to race at a place as legendary as Calistoga. But now I actually don't know if they've put it on the schedule yet, but I know at the NARC banquet they were talking a lot about it. They said they had a really good chance of getting a race or two there. And then Paris as well. You know, it's been a couple years since they ran sprint cars there, wing sprint cars at least. And that place is just huge and fast. That's our only real true quarter mile or half mile in California, I believe. I think Calistoga might be as well. Am I?
Uh,
No,
I think
I don't think so.
yeah.
But I know
Yeah,
that's
half mile.
yeah, half mile.
I think so. Yes.
It is a half-mile oval known as the
Yeah.
fastest dirt track in the Western United States.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So getting to race it too. I mean, Paris is just as legendary too. I mean, the history of oval nationals and all that, like that's a cool place to race, and hopefully we'll have a good surface, and you know, I guess we don't have much of a baseline. Those two will definitely be the biggest tracks we race on all year.
All right, Dominic, I actually see one more question pop in here, and I want to give Tyler Sage a chance to ask it. He referenced how I asked you about what you couldn't even imagine doing maybe 5 years ago, and Tyler wants to know, so how about 5 years in the future? What are some of your goals you want to accomplish?
You know, I definitely want to win a sprint car championship, whether that be, you know, I'd like to win a couple preferably. Obviously, I'm going to be going for the NARC championship this year. I think we're going to run every race when it comes to that. I don't think we're going to skip any this year. I was almost able to become the rookie of the year last year and fortunately missed it by, well, missing that one race, but I'd say that was worth it.
All right, Dominic, I mean, I can't say it enough. We are so happy that you have joined us on our first ever episode of the Tune Up, and you were as insightful as could be. I could not have dreamt of a better first interviewee, and our chat has really enjoyed it as well. We've got over 10 people watching right now, and we could not have thought of a better way to kick off episode one. Dominic, you're always welcome back on the show, and we appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'd love to be back on. Just, you know, Cody's got my Discord. You guys all have a way to message me now with Google Chats, like just I'm, I'll make some time. Just let me know. Thank you guys for having me on again.
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Absolutely.
you.
We'll clap for Dominic.
All right, thank you guys.
Good luck
Yeah.
in your
All right,
season,
thank you.
Dominic.
We'll be seeing
Thank
you.
you.
We'll
Good
be
luck,
watching you
Dominic.
closely.
Yep, thank you guys.
Just such a good racer, so talented and so young too. I mean, he mentioned it. We reached out to him on Discord, and I mean, it's just so awesome that he took the time in what is honestly a very busy schedule for him. I mean, just imagine him kicking off 2025 with a chance in the Chili Bowl, and that's really as big as it gets. And for him to take the time and just answer so many questions, not from just us here on the panel, but from the chat. We had some good questions from those in the chat, and we've had consistently over 10 joining us here for the kickoff of episode 1. We could not be more elated about this. So, just takeaways from that, guys. I'll start with you, Cody. You're the one that got him, and you're the biggest dirt racing fan. Anything that stood out to you when we got to kind of pick the brain of a dirt racer?
Oh yeah, I've wanted to really sit down and talk with Dominic for a while, but he's such a busy guy, like he said. It's really cool though to be able to talk to him. And honestly, depending on how well this goes here, I think he could be a guest that we could have almost once a month here and just catch up with him on how he's doing in his season. Almost feel like we have to have a narc look at now. The way we do this year, we're going to focus on the narc series more than what we usually probably would.
Yeah.
Because I mean he really is something special here. The kids from California here, you get people like Brad Sweet, Kyle Larson, like guys like Dominic Gorden now, Corey Day, both of them from Clovis. Uh, just it's really cool to see all this here. This is the new era. These are the new Jeff Gordons. And
Hmm.
actually, you could almost say these are the new Kyle Larsons now because Kyle Larson's been such a household name for so long now. So, really cool to pick his brain, get his insight on a lot of stuff. Um, he does a very good job at what he does, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's got a very bright career ahead of him, and just how it's been going. So, I was just really happy about that. That was really cool to hear all about that, and really appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule to talk to us. And yeah,
Absolutely, Derek. Any takeaways from getting to pick the brain of not just a dirt racer, but a professional auto racer?
Well, like Cody said, he is one of those new younger generation drivers, and he will eventually do great things with hard work and effort. Uh, he just remind I'm personally very familiar with the iRacing scene, and I've met a lot of dirt racers on there. They do it in real life, and they just all have the similar attitude as Dominic did, hardworking attitude, and just grinding it out. And with hard work, he'll just keep going up the ranks.
And Marcus, I mean, you certainly did your homework when you got to talk to him, and I think the interviewees always appreciate that. You asked them some good questions right there. What stood out to you the most, though?
I mean, I just think his overall knowledge of pretty much the entire West Coast, what tracks, go with, what not to go with. And just overall, I mean, I learned a lot more about dirt racing because going into this, I didn't really know much about the guy. Did my research, had to do some research. Also had a little bit of a dirt track encyclopedia of one of our viewers, Cole Chandler. Talked to him a little bit about Dominic, his knowledge of him. So I learned a lot about him, and talking to him, you learn a lot more about the guy.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't say it enough. What a great way to kick off episode 1 of the tune up here. Talking to such a talented up and coming dirt racer who's already trying to make his way through the ranks, competing in the Chili Bowl. I mean, what more could you ask for, guys? But with that, I mean, I think it's only appropriate. Why don't we share some thoughts on what was the Chili Bowl? What I think a lot of people consider the official kickoff of the calendar racing year as it comes before the Rolex 24, which we'll talk about after it. But why don't I start with you, Cody? I mean, you are the biggest dirt fan on the panel today.
yeah, I tried to watch as much as I could here. I did get busy on Saturday, but no doubt tried to watch as every last bit of it as I could. I gotta say here, I think we had over 380 entries this year. Some of the biggest names here. A lot of drivers here making their first appearance at the Chili Bowl. uh, like a Kyle Busch. You know, it was really big there. I know Marcus, you were happy to see that Kyle Busch here in the last couple. I would say last couple years, basically since Brexton has really started getting into racing. He's kind of stepped his foot into dirt racing, and I really like seeing that. I think it makes a broader approach. I think I'm going to touch base on that later when I talk about my thoughts on Joe Gibbs and the new rule he has for his drivers coming into this year about dirt racing. I'll talk about that later, but really, it was just so cool to see all honestly, I thought it was a really good track each night. Dino Dominic said they really watered up for Friday. Friday always is probably one of the bigger nights. You have a lot of big names showing up. Obviously, you saw Logan Seavey in there. Tyler Courtney was there. So a lot of big names on that Friday night. Um, it usually brings out a big show. You're going to get a bigger crowd that night. It's on the weekend. You're going to get some of the bigger name drivers. So I personally think it was a really good Chili Bowl. A lot of good racing, a lot of battles, no doubt, and not just not just through the back of the pack, but the battle for the lead happened a lot, and it was really cool to see that. So I really enjoyed it as a race fan, and it's on my bucket list. I gotta make it out there. I don't know if I'd ever do the 6 days. That might be something for retirement, but no doubt I'd like to make a good trip out there for at least maybe a Thursday through a Saturday.
And I mean, yeah, going off of your point there, I mean, the Chili Bowl's turned into such a family affair. I mean, we're always going to see these current NASCAR stars try to get in their children into the racing scene. I mean, what a better way to get them on a big stage than the Chili Bowl? We're seeing the likes of Kyle Busch's son, Brexton, of course, Kyle Larson's son as well. And I mean, you mentioned the multiple lanes. I mean, it's always unique when you can watch a dirt race where one side is not always the dominant. And you know, you can look at the Chili Bowl and say more often than not, ripping that top side is going to be the way, but that just wasn't entirely always the case throughout all of the nights of the racing. I mean, drivers that can make the bottom work well, if they get their front tires up there on that berm, it could really be maybe the fastest way around. But the bottom line being, it would always switch back and forth. And I think that's what really made for some great racing. But my final takeaway would be just from the Chili Bowl, Kyle Larson doing what he does best. And I mean, he was really the one to beat that entire championship feature. And even when he almost wrecked himself there at the end, it still wasn't enough to stop him from getting beat. And so I want to give it to you though, Marcus. Just Chili Bowl in review. What are your takeaways?
Yeah, my takeaway is obviously Kyle Larson doing his thing. It was nice this year also see people like Christopher Bell come back. You know he couldn't do it last year because Joe Gibbs did have the rule in place, probably in response to NASCAR drivers like Alex Bowman getting injured doing dirt racing when he wasn't doing NASCAR. Gibbs didn't want to risk that this year. You had Christopher Bell, you had Ty Gibbs come out attempt the Chili Bowl as well. I believe if I remember correct, Ty made it to about the D or the E main. But those guys did a pretty good job. Bell may could have had a better result, but first time back in a year. Ty Gibbs, first time doing dirt racing. He did a pretty good job for his first Chili Bowl attempt. Same with Kyle Busch. Watching him make it to, I believe it was the D main or the E main that he made it to. Uh, Whenever there was a top side, you saw Kyle up there. He was making moves. Unfortunately, in some of those mains, you just didn't have a top side to work with. It was just a single file, as we were talking about with Dom just now.
And Derek, obviously, as you said, actually, as you're asking your first question to Dominic, you admittedly you like dirt racing. You try to watch as much of it as possible, and you even joined me and Cody here for some of the nights of racing there at the Chili Bowl. So even if you weren't able to intake all of it, Derek, what were your takeaways from what you watched?
Well, I sound like a broken record, but yes, Kyle Larson gets his third, I believe his third Chili Bowl Nationals.
Yes.
He won it back in 2020 and 2021,
Mhm.
and he'll join the names of others like Christopher Bell and Swindell, son and father. So, but overall, whenever I do watch the Chili Bowl, I did like you guys said about the uh, upper portion of the track and then the lower portion. Just it really divides how a driver drives the track. Is understanding which line is better to run and people like Kyle Larson just know how to do that, and that also proves in NASCAR too. And yeah, he just really held it down. I also want to give a quick applause, mental applause to Michael Kofoid. He, I believe, started 14th in his 8-man. He had a little bit of a tough time, and he was able to get up to 6th to finish the event. Although he didn't win the thing, it's still remarkable that he was able to make up a lot of positions there.
Absolutely. Well, we've got about a little over 10 minutes before we'll take a very, very quick break. Since the beginning of the show, we're working on just a slightly low budget where we got to refresh the meeting. But I mean, the break will simply be you'll have time to go to the bathroom, and then we'll be back. And before we hit that break, we want to move on to our next topic here. And while we're up moving on topics, I do want to say the hope is for future episodes we'll make this more user-friendly in the sense that we're going to get some graphics up on the screen. Oop, I gotta forget when I do that, the cameras go away. Oop, let's fix that. All right. Basically finishing up on what I was saying, we're going to try and get some like TV news style graphics that just kind of highlight whatever segment we're on. It makes it very user-friendly for anyone trying to go through the show, maybe catch up on something if they joined in late. And with that, we're going to switch topics here, and we're going to talk about the most recent major auto race of the calendar that happened over the weekend. That was the Rolex 24 race, and we're also going to touch on the craziness that was that Mazda MX5 initial start, not even restart. But obviously, the highlighting topic here is the craziness of not just that, but this Rolex 24 certainly checked a lot of boxes as far as what to expect, and I think a lot of extras as well. We saw some beef. We saw a big wreck in the Rolex as well. It came off of a night hour restart, and it happened right in the infield portion. And Derek, I want to toss it to you first. I know you watched, I believe, the most of the Rolex 24 out of all of us, and you watched very intensely. Just it's the ever-changing scene of IMSA with the new cars mixing in, but overall, I mean, it just continues to be bangers, it seems like, at the Rolex. And once again, with a mix of craziness, some might even say NASCAR style controversy, it still did not fail to excite. What are your initial takeaways from the Rolex 24 this year?
Well, yeah, you said NASCAR controversy. There's also a lot of NASCAR drivers in
Mhm.
the Rolex 24, along with F1 drivers and IndyCar drivers, and even more motorsports I haven't mentioned. Um, but overall, the although the finish wasn't the greatest compared to I believe last year when there was a photo finish, still provided one of the greatest racing you can see in the whole year, and it's always the first time motorsports kicks off the year. Um, there was just a lot of close battling throughout every part of the race, and you really didn't get bored that much while watching the Rolex 24. Uh, I didn't stay up the whole night to watch the whole thing, unfortunately.
Usually
Sorry
tough
about
to
that.
do, yeah.
Oh yes, very tough. I did watch the highlights just to check up. Uh, I saw notably in the GT Pro field, Andy Lally had a mechanical failure. He's one of the more popular drivers in that class, and that was in the 6th hour of the race. And then I believe it was hour 8. There was a huge wreck involving the number 40 of Delatraz. He slammed right into the wall coming out of turn 1. He got loose, and that just caused a chain reaction. I mean, 6 total cars I believe had race-ending damage. I believe it was a lot of LMP2s, and then the GT field just barely missed them as they were passing by.
Mm.
So, but yeah, as we come to the end of the race, I mean, it was pretty hectic in almost all classes besides the LMP2. I believe the LMP2 who was leading, he had a 40-second advantage over second, and but every other in the last 30 minutes, basically, there was a battle for first or second, and it was just impressive to watch, especially between the Penske Porsches. Matt Campbell, Felipe Nasser. They had a great battle, and don't forget about Tom Blomqvist. He came in there at the end, supporting the Acura, and he was able to get second over Matt Campbell. But Felipe Nasser does hold it down, and Penske in the Daytona prototype class holds their dominance. And yeah, they might just keep going, even though Penske, Roger Penske's 87 years old. He's still got a long time to go.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it seems like they continually to report on the captain Roger Penske when he's at these Rolex 24s. They say more often than not he's basically staying up the entire 24 hours, even at his age. It's crazy what he's doing. But I mean, very appreciative of what you've done, Derek. Obviously, doing your homework, providing what will be probably the most insight on the panel as it relates to the Rolex. And I'm looking here every time I look to the right. I'm looking at the chat, and we've got a very active chat. I can't continue to say it enough. We're very happy with all you guys that have joined us here for the kickoff episode of the Tune Up. And, we've got people like Axel in the chat talking about the Corvette versus BMW dilemma. I mean, Derek, it was certainly something that's not really common in IMSA. It's just like what I said. It's like NASCAR style controversy. Yes, they're racing cars at the end of the day, but usually they only reserve it for the stock cars to beat up on each other like that.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't want to be hitting each other in these endurance races. You got a long time to go before you reach the end. But GT cars can take a bit of a hit. It's not like single-seater F1s where, you touch a wheel and they say, "Oh, I'm done. I'm gonna flop on the ground and just retire." But they just keep on pressing. And although that controversy did happen between BMW and the Corvettes, they at the end of the day, you just got to keep pushing. You understand people make mistakes, and you just got to keep going with it.
And Marcus, I guess let me just ask the surface level real quick. How much of the Rolex 24 were you able to view?
Unfortunately, I did work for the start of it. So funny story, my dad got to work at the event, so I did get some videos. Obviously typical Daytona action from what you could see. Cars absolutely flying. But my takeaways from the event were mainly number one, the Penske battle at the end. My main takeaway was the BMW Corvette beef. I think that is a lot of people's big talking point about the Rolex. For those who don't know, the Corvette was trying to chase down the BMW for a position in the International Horseshoe. BMW kind of parks the bus, brake checks him a little bit, and the Corvette has to move on the. Oh, we lost Cody.
He's having some
Yeah,
issues. We'll try to get him in after our
yeah.
quick break coming up.
BMW had they had BMW in front and the BMW to the left. Corvette has to move to the left, rips his rear bumper off. And I gotta say, that was a pretty strong arm he had to be able to open the window at what was it, 180 miles an hour and stick a whole arm out there, hold the arm steady just to flip off the
Mhm.
BMW.
Uh,
And then going into the last hour of the race, still mad at the BMW. I wouldn't blame him honestly. Just straight dumped the BMW, took a drive-through penalty. Uh, that was basically my big takeaway from what I saw in that whole event. Obviously, you still had the main Corvette, the number 3. He got second overall in the GTT Pro class to the 65 Mustang, if I'm correct. But Corvette did also win the GTD, the lower GTD class.
And I mean, it's kind of interesting because how often has someone ever put their limb or hand out the window of a IMSA sports car? I mean,
Yeah, you don't
much
see that.
less to put the finger up, put the bird up. I almost put that as the thumbnail for this show if I wasn't worried about some YouTube violations or something like that. But that was certainly a meme that will forever live in IMSA lore, I think.
Yeah.
We've got
I,
about 3 minutes here before we will go to break. We'll probably go to break in about 2 minutes. I want to open up this question here for the panel and the chat. What is your personal record for watching the Rolex 24? Meaning, how much hours of a particular running were you able to watch live? For me, I think it was 18. I'm serious.
Wow.
It was 18 to 20, something like that. I think just 2 years ago, or the year that Jimmy Johnson ran. What about you, Dar?
Well, first, before I answer, do you know like what time the other 4 hours you didn't watch was?
I think I went to bed at 4 a.m., woke up at 8 ish.
Okay, that's man. I applaud you because I could not do. I mean, I've stayed up 24 hours before, but I don't know about watching a race concurrently for 18 hours. But I think the longest I've watched was probably 12 hours, meaning I'm pretty sure from the start of the race at 2 p.m., whatever time it was, like 2 years ago, to basically bedtime, which was like 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. for me. And then I woke up and watched the end of it. And since it was a weekend, I woke up at 11 a.m. or 12. And Yeah, 12 to 15 hours, I think, total. So it's respectable, but nothing like you. How about you, Marcus?
Real
I
quick,
think
Marcus.
my personal record, I think, was it 2023 when Meyer Shank won? I know it was the Meyer Shank Rolex 24 when I stayed up a long time for. It was oh, there's Cody. It was about, I think, 8 to 12 total hours because I stayed up till midnight my time, which would have been 2 a.m. Eastern time from the start of the race. And I think I woke up and watched about the last couple hours of the event, watched Meyer Shank come home with the win. And that was pretty cool, seeing Meyer Shank grow over the last couple of years. Won the Indianapolis 500 with Castro Neves, and then goes out, wins the Rolex 24. That was
All
a
right.
really awesome race to watch.
I'll cut you off right there. We're going to go to a very quick break. We'll be back right after this. As we're on break right here, we will be back in about 2 minutes. Stick around. Appreciate you hanging out in the chat. We've got a very active one. We see you, Cole, Mark, Axel, Tyler, all of the most recent chatters, and we'll be back very, very soon. We are back live on the tune-up. And welcome back to the panel. Once again, I'm Zach Tefelsky, joined by my panelists today, Cody Sill, Derek Smith, Marcus Vanderlee. I look over to the chat and I see Tyler Sage. Thought someone on the panel must have been taking a number 2. A bit of a longer break that we had right there. All right, but nonetheless, we're back. Hopefully, we don't have to take another break. Again, the only reason we're doing that is we're a brand new show. We've got a low budget, and so we've got limits on these meetings, these video call meetings that we have. Hopefully, that might not be an issue in the future, but we appreciate you all sticking around in the chat, and we've got a great show still ahead. We're about nearing the halfway mark, and just continuing on with the conversation that we ended upon before we came or went to break. Uh, Cody, I want to ask you the question that we asked the three of us here, as well as chat. Do you know any idea what your personal record is for watch time in a particular Rolex 24?
I would say I think it was a 2022 one. I probably watched a total of. It's not doesn't really sound a lot when you put it 24 hours, but I think about 14 hours.
Okay.
I had it on and everything. That doesn't sound like a lot when you compare it to 24 full hours, but
Yeah.
I know friends that used to do events and they would all get a bunch of their buddies together and they'd stay up the entire 24 and watch it. So
For us that have all here on the panel been at Talladega together and camped, that certainly would be a bucket list, I think, and I'd like to hear what the chat thinks as well. If you could, if money was not a preventative thing, get the best camping spot in the infield at Daytona, I think that would be very awesome. Combined with a great camper, so to speak, so you could really be comfortable and enjoy it.
Yeah, going back to Cody's point about getting people together to watch the Rolex 24. I recently on a Discord server saw that a racing league was doing a push-up challenge for every hour. So in total, it was 300 push-ups over 24 hours that people would have to complete, and it would be 1 push-up for the first hour, 2 for the second, and so on, factorial. So yeah, just to that Cody's point, people do fun things with it.
Well, one last thing we want to touch on here before we really kind of flip towards NASCAR for the rest of the show. I think even if you didn't watch the world famous Mazda MX5 cars race, you probably saw a video of what would probably be the funniest start of a race they'll ever have. And you know what it was? It was reminiscent of that 2020 clash at Daytona, that one restart where everyone just couldn't get going, except it was, I think, even worse as far as carnage because that took out most of the field. I mean, my goodness. And the Mazda MX5 guys, I mean, those are always just, you like to joke because it's like the pinnacle of motorsports. What they do, they make road course racing like a super speedway, and it's always crazy that every single one of these races comes down to a pack of cars passing each other on the last lap, coming down to the checkered flag. But that start this year was
I know.
certainly one of their lowlights. And Dahar, I'll start with you. I mean, if you're in the middle of that pack, what are you thinking when you see those cars starting to go different directions and spin out and hit the wall?
Well, especially this was on the second race of their Daytona stretch, but overall, like if I was in that car behind that wreck, I would just be I'll say expletive my pants, and you know if they're going one way or another, it's just like you gotta pray basically you can get through it. I mean, I believe it was Gresham Wagner who was the one that slammed the wall really hard, and man, I just couldn't imagine being an actual race car driver and having the fear of trying to get through a wreck.
And the sort of the problem with that too is you see the Mazda MX-5s and how they finish these races. It's usually reliant on a big pack of cars, even at the very last lap. And when most of those cars are taken out or at least damaged, it makes it so it's kind of a tough deal that you have to go through the rest of the race with not a lot of full strength cars. I want to flip it to you though, Marcus. Did you ever think you would see something like that for the start of the Mazda MX-5 race, one that has had such great highlights?
No, honestly, like, you look back to last year, great photo finish coming to the line. I believe Connor Zilic barely lost out in that finish. Then you watch this year, they made a total of, they made it the 44 minutes and 59 seconds left before they crashed out in the event, which, for the record, it's a 45-minute race. That's 1 second that they made it, which that's something, like Derek, I'm very familiar to the iRacing scene. So, that's something I've seen on iRacing before is people spin out before the first turn, just take out the whole field with them. So it shocked me to see that
Oh yeah.
happen in real life.
I've seen all the comments about saying, "Oh, look, it's iRacing rookie session" when
Mm.
the wreck
Yeah,
happened.
exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, we have some NASCAR 25 news that I think we were going to touch on later, but it kind of correlates now. We saw that they announced that they'll have all three Premier Series plus ARCA, and it kind of correlates because, well, I mean, when you think of an online race on those NASCAR video games and like the NASCAR heat lobbies, it usually feels like it's an ARCA race. So now we can appropriately pick the ARCA cars and race them and wreck
Mhm.
each other and race like we have ARCA brakes. So that'll be fun to see. Cody, I want to give you a chance to give your 2 cents on this. Even if you didn't watch the Mazda MX-5 race, I'm sure you saw that start as well. What are you thinking as a fan when you watch that? You're getting all hyped for the Mazda MX-5s, almost certainly guaranteed a great finish, and majority of the field gets taken out.
Well, I didn't even know there was a 24-hour race. I just knew that the Mazda X5s were there. That's all I cared about. But no, it was almost, yeah, it was comedic, very very comedic on how that all started though. But what a way to start the real you know big motorsport racing season, and with that here we can only go up, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I thought it was really funny. I'm glad everyone was able to get out okay and everything. But everybody gets to have a little bit of fun here and there, and I think the Mazdas had their fun, and they went on to put on an all right race here. Considering half the field's taken out, you can only do so much. So, but yeah,
And we are now going to shift gears to talking about NASCAR for essentially the rest of the show. I do want to touch on here, like I said, I'm looking to my right. I'm always trying to keep the chat involved. Tyler Sage, one of the active chatters all throughout this live, uh, brought up a good point, and I'm mentioning it because it is kind of interesting. I talked about ARCA being in NASCAR 25, and I think we might as well talk about NASCAR 25s as we're shifting the show to our NASCAR talk session. Tyler said would be interested to see if they include tracks like Berlin, Salem, DeCoin, etc. for the ARCA series. I mean, it's unique because we've never seen ARCA in the NASCAR game before the console game that comes out yearly. Marcus, I see your hand up.
Yeah. And on top of that, so the main developer for NASCAR 25 is iRacing, right? They're the main people behind it. So those tracks coming to NASCAR 25, iRacing likes to scan the tracks, which means
Hmm.
those could, if they bring it to NASCAR 25, that could possibly be more tracks that they bring to their main iRacing platform for everyone to race online with. So I think that would be actually very beneficial to both iRacing and to help the NASCAR game grow over time.
All right, now it feels like kindergarten classroom. Dar has his hand up.
I feel like it's a good system to just do that while they're talking, just to make sure. But
Yeah.
uh, I agree with Marcus. I believe that it's definitely a great news that iRacing can definitely bring what they can to the next installment of NASCAR gaming. But I just want to give credit to a video I watched a long time ago. It's called "My Concerns with NASCAR 25" by NBR. Uh, Props to you. I watched the video and I agreed almost with every stance that he had. Uh, just a review, EA had the license for the game along with Papyrus and Monster
Hmm.
games for a while. And then eventually, by the time you hit 2011, U10X takes over for a couple of years. And then we eventually go to one of the worst eras, uh,
Hmm.
Motorsports games with the Heat games. I was very disappointed with the Heat games, but basically my point is that with this new game and all the hype around it, I mean, is it too good to be true having iRacing uh, come in for development and hopefully make the changes that every NASCAR gamer wants to hear? Now, will this be an arcade type or
Mm.
simulation? We don't know.
All yet to be determined. And just you brought up some good points there, Dar. And when I say Dar, I should make it clarify. It's just become natural for me to call him Dar. That was one of his usernames that I first knew him as.
Yeah.
Obviously, his real name's Derek Smith. But going off of what you said, Dar, I
Makes you feel
person
alright. My parents call him Dar as well.
I
For real.
found personal joy, and I also want to offer another question to the chat here. All-time favorite motorsports or NASCAR game for me, Air 2003. I think that can't be beat. I am continuously utilizing the sandbox effects of it to its fullest, and but back what I was saying, I personally enjoyed the Heat games, and I was really excited to get NASCAR 21 Ignition. And I woke up on the day that I planned on getting it, and I just got on YouTube and I saw that it was just like a disaster. I don't know about anyone else's experience, but the last NASCAR game I have was Heat 4, I think. I skipped out on getting Heat 5 because it looked like the same version of the game of Heat 4, just with new rosters. Um, but as we offer the question of best NASCAR game or motorsports game favorite all time, let's flip around with that. You heard me. My answer is 2003. If I'm saying console, uh, NASCAR the inside line. What about you, Marcus?
I mean, I have so many favorites. Like, it's really hard to choose from. Top three would be NASCAR 15. That was my favorite game, really, to play around with the tracks and to play around with the paint booth on my PS3. NASCAR '08, that was my first introduction to NASCAR games. I was really confused as a kid as why Kyle Busch wasn't the M&M's car.
Mhm.
And then NASCAR 2011 was also a really crazy game to play. You know, you had both 2010 and 2011 rosters. The damage physics was interesting. You could just blow over anytime you wanted. You know, as a kid, those are all really fun games to play for their own reasons. You know.
And Cody, I have a guess on what your favorite game is, but I'd like to hear it anyway.
Yeah, it's NASCAR Kart Racer for the Wii, no doubt.
Okay.
No, I gotta say it on 2 and 3. If I had to pick an overall or I guess computer based, if I'm gonna pick console, it's gotta be NASCAR 9. The amount of hours I put on NASCAR 9 should be in records books. As a kid, that was the unbelievable. Like looking back on it, it may not have been the best game, but for me, the fun that I had playing it, playing it with my sister or my dad, it was just something else. It was really, really fun. Love that game. I also enjoyed Inside the Line. I had that for the Wii. That was really fun to play with. So, um, yeah, I really enjoyed those. I think there's one game that I want to put out there that is just goes on nobody's radar. NASCAR Heat 2002. Very fun game. A very challenging game actually. I find that game very challenging with the AI at times, but really enjoy that game. Damage physics were actually really good for the time. But yeah,
Dar, you like Marcus or at least has been an avid iRacer, so I know, especially in your case, you've been doing iRacing probably more than you've been doing console racing for any game, but I also know you've been playing the F1 games over the years, but what is your personal favorite? I'm curious to know,
Personal favorite NASCAR game or just motorsports
in
game?
general.
In general, okay. Well, I'll give you a NASCAR answer, and I believe it's NASCAR Inside Line. That's the one I played the most growing up. And like Cody said, I agreed with Cody heavily if you saw me nodding a lot. NASCAR '09 was a very nostalgic one for me too. Wasn't like NASCAR '08, but or I mean, it was way better than NASCAR '08 in my opinion, just for the nostalgia purposes. And but like in terms of favorite motorsport game, like arcade style, basically, I give it an F1 2016. That was the first F1 game that I played, and I just remember always taking career mode very seriously on controller and just having a great time with back in the period when there was non Halo.
I appreciate any game, and it's not just racing where I get to really get into career mode, or in the sports games, I'm really big into the franchise modes, whatever the variations are, but I mean, yeah, we've talked about it here in just our recent discussion, kind of uncharted territory, but obviously iRacing and the developers are really keen in on ushering in a new era of console gaming for NASCAR. Who knows what that might be? I think the standard is out there for something that's a little more than an arcade game with the F1 games in the sense that you have full control over the caution laps, the pace laps, the pit stops, something that hasn't been seen in a console NASCAR game, and you can only get that on iRacing or in 2003, the simulator computer games. So we don't know much about what's supposed to be expected with that. We do know that it's supposed to come out this year, and we've seen a one photo of a development phase for the iRacing game. I mean, most people are excited, but cautiously optimistic, I think, because a lot of people have been hurt by what NASCAR games was last left with for the console scene. Um, Looking over here at the chat, Ave said 2005 probably his favorite, the favorite NASCAR console game for Ave, and he's been putting a lot of hours into that. And Tyler Sage, of course, appreciates Enter 2003, the modding community, and I think Enter 2003 will live forever. You know, remember, iRacing doesn't exist without Enter 2003. The developers
Mhm.
went over to that. Let's shift gears to NASCAR silly season news, and it's been coming in a lot lately. Uh, one of the highlights we're going to touch on, though, is Casey Kane is back. And Marcus, I think you have some interesting thoughts about this as a fan of an RCR driver. By the way, I think we owe it to the community and the fans to be transparent and say what our favorite drivers are. Let's hopefully get into that later. I want to start with you, though, Marcus.
Yeah.
Initial reaction to seeing Casey Kane will be back in NASCAR.
So I don't know how many people know this. I think I've told you guys, but like secretly, I'm a Casey Kane fan. You know, I cheered for him because my grandpa cheered for him. And it's just really awesome to see him finally come back after, a very unceremonious exit from NASCAR due to health issues. He's done some good stuff in dirt from what I've seen the last few years, whether as a driver or a team owner. And now that he's coming back to Rockingham, I mean, yesterday I just watched the Iceberg video, his thoughts on it, and he made some very good points. Like last time Casey Kane raced at Rockingham in a NASCAR vehicle was 2012 in the Truck Series, and he won that race, right?
Hmm
2004, second ever
Yeah.
Cup Series race, almost beats Matt Kenseth for the win in the final Cup Rockingham
He's
race.
back for redemption.
And now he's back looking to get an Xfinity Series win at Rockingham. And I think Casey he hasn't been in a Cup car a Cup car or any car for a few years. He could probably come back. I don't know if I'm really expecting him to win. I'm being cautiously optimistic about that event, but I think Casey could pull out a top 10, maybe a top 5. He's got plenty of experience with that track, which is something not a lot of those young Xfinity drivers have a lot of experience with.
One thing I want to bring up here before I flip it around the panel, I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad you bring it up. Obviously, Rockingham was sent off with such a great finish between Matt Kenseth edging out Casey Kane, and I think that third place driver was Jamie McMurray. Am I
Yes,
correct? And I'd like to
yeah,
give credit to Ave for indirectly bringing that up. But Jamie McMurray certainly a candidate that could get right back into a race. He last
I
race
could
a
see it.
one-off in the Daytona 500 2019.
It
But it'll
was
be interesting to see Rockingham back on the schedule. A track that I honestly wasn't sure would ever come back. It seemed like no one would ever put effort into it, and it seemed like it was just kind of left for dead. I thought North
mhm,
Wilkesboro was even worse off, though, and somehow that came back before Rockingham. Cody, though, I want to
absolutely.
ask you. I know you really enjoy Rockingham and its history in the place of the NASCAR history books. The Xfinity cars on Rockingham. Do you think that'll be a good combination?
Yeah. Xfinity put on some bangers there in the early 2000s from what I've watched here in the 90s. They also had some good racing. Rockingham, one of those key tracks here that really preserves the history of NASCAR from back in the day. So really cool to see it back, even though it's not a cup date. I think you just got to feel it out. I think this is a big fueler test, I would say. Because remember, Cup Series is not racing that weekend. That is the weekend before Dega, and they are off. So it's just only Xfinity and trucks. So I would not be surprised to see more Cup drivers announce that they would be racing the Xfinity race. Expect a field kind of looking like the late 2000s of a lot of Cup drivers. I'd love to see that. As much as we hate bushwhackers, we all admit that seeing the Cup drivers in the Xfinity field sometimes was pretty cool. And this is a great event here to get one of those. I think they get 5 races here racing. So um, I'm excited to see what it can bring. Absolutely love Rockingham. Always have. It's been a close thing, close track to my heart. Even though I never really got to see it be raced at, but I'm excited for it. I really am.
And I want to offer the question to the audience. In the Xfinity race at Rockingham, what would be some of the ideal drivers? I would say realistic options that you'd like to see get in the Xfinity car for that race. I feel like Kyle Busch probably might do one for RCR. He's been, obviously still racing Xfinity through the years.
I
Ross
would
Chastain wouldn't surprise me a bit. Those are just the names that are coming to top of the head. It'd be kind of like maybe that truck dirt race at Bristol where they had a bunch of the Cup guys that don't normally race get in. Marcus?
So I do want to bring up a point. You did mention Bush. I want to talk about the other Bush, who is Kurt Busch. I believe he was recently cleared to race for whenever he wants to. He is doing the Race of Champions with, I forget who the other driver is. Hopefully, someone in chat could help us with that. But I could see someone like Kurt Busch, coming out of retirement, trying to find maybe a team that he wants to go, run a race with. Maybe run a race in the Joe Gibbs All Star car. Run a race with Sam Hunt Racing. Uh, Someone like that. I could see Kurt Busch coming out. I could see, like, we were talking about earlier, Jamie McMurray coming back. I don't know how many people know this. Jamie McMurray ended Rockingham Xfinity with a few wins. He won the last few Rockingham Xfinity races. So seeing him come back trying to defend his title that goes all the way back to the early 2000s.
All right, and Dar, I want to give you a chance. You haven't spoke on this matter yet. Xfinity at Rockingham, obviously one of the big schedule changes amongst the many of them in just general for NASCAR this year. Do you think that for Rockingham, it'll be a race that might be one of the best all season long through all three of the series?
I might disagree with that. I don't believe just because a track comes back after being in the grave for 10 to 20 years, I just don't think it will immediate. I mean, North Wilkesboro was a massive success with the fans, but although Rockingham does have a lot of great racing in the past, I'm not sure what it will do with these new cars, and we just gotta wait for the moment that happens later in the year. And yeah, and with Casey Kane also returning, I'm pretty excited to see it, but I'm also skeptical of how he'll do because since he joined Hendrick, I mean he's pretty much been past his prime. I mean he had a Final Four in 2012, but not trying to hate, but he's been kind of mid after that whole season. So if he does get a redemption here in that number 33 RCR car at Rockingham, I'll be happy for him.
I wonder how chat feels about Dar's subtle Casey Kane slander. I feel like there's some Casey Kane stands here, and Marcus probably not too enthusiastic about it. It seems. I mean, I've always enjoyed Casey Kane, just a driver that's always been there, racing good, and a very talented one at that. He's still obviously been racing ever since retiring from Cup in sprint cars and stuff, and I could kind of see it as a Dale Jr. situation with him getting back into the car. It is an RCR ride, so one that should be capable of a win, even if it's not the best Xfinity car out there. But I feel like a Dale Jr. run could be in order for a driver that has been good at the track. He'll actually come in with, obviously more experience than majority of the field at Rockingham. Even comparative to some of the other bushwhackers that might race, he has ran just about as many races there. So I could see maybe a 12th place finish for Casey Kane. I think the ceiling is definitely almost as far up that leaderboard as could be. Like, I don't know if he'll be competing for the win. Honestly, I could foresee a really good qualifying run, like boom, qualifies third, something like that. Uh, it'll be interesting to see what type of hype surrounds the race. What type of attendance do they get? We saw when the trucks went there last, they got a good crowd for the seats, the grandstands that were still up. It kind of fizzled out in turn two, but it was a good crowd. And final question I want to just kind of throw into the panel right here. Um, for Rockingham race at in Xfinity, do you think that'll be won by a bushwhacker or won by an Xfinity regular? Obviously, it's hard to predict who's in the field, but a question to be posed nonetheless.
I'll, I think I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Like you said, we're still months away from that. Um, I'm gonna stick with what I said. I think there's gonna be a lot of Xfinity drivers that are gonna kick it in, or a lot of Cup drivers. I'm sorry, that are kicking the door in the Xfinity series, and I think it'll be a Bushwhacker who will take the win. It would be cool to see maybe Young Gun and Xfinity series get done, or maybe someone like Allgaier, who
Yeah.
has raced. They're in the. Actually, I take that back. I don't think he raced in the truck race, but one of those established guys in the Xfinity series. So yeah, I will say though it's probably gonna be Bushwhacker.
All right, Dar.
You know, I would say a regular, but it could also be a bushwhacker, and here's why. So, with Rockingham, this is the first race back in a long time, and all these young guns, and they just typically don't have practice here at these tracks, compared to other tracks where they've been racing for many years. Um, you know, the recent years as well. No practice at all, or very little practice for these people to get used to the track. So while it could be a bushwhacker who already knows the track, like Casey Kane, it could also be someone who has a really good car, because I believe heavily in a strong performance car, and it could be one of those top teams, an Xfinity regular.
And before we switch topics, just want to keep highlighting we've got someone like Tyler Sage in the chat who brings up some good points periodically. Reminds us that the Xfinity Rockingham race is going to be a dash for cash race, so that's incentive for the Xfinity regulars. And who knows how that might play into things. Marcus, you got something to add?
If it's a dash for cash race, that means that Cup guys are not allowed to race that. So only retired drivers from Cup could come in and do that race.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Well, that's
Interesting.
Well,
certainly
that
interesting.
just throws a wrench in my plans. Never mind.
Well, we were talking about all the possibilities, but that's interesting. If it's a dash for cash race, glad Tyler brought that up. Hopefully he's right. Hopefully he's not just saying things to say things. I don't think he would
No,
be
that
though.
is.
Our leg.
He's right. I did mention that earlier. It is.
All right, let's switch gears here. We're about on the home stretch of the show, past the halfway point, I do believe. Real quick, I do want to say this tune-up initial episode might be the most jam-packed episode we'll ever have on the show. It'll be much easier once we get into the NASCAR season to plan the show around each NASCAR race. But we're jamming in a lot here, and this is probably the longest running show as well, close to 2 hours probably. Let's switch gears and actually sticking on the topic of silly season. I want to hand it off to you, Marcus, and hopefully I'm not putting you immediately on the spot, but you did put together a good kind of info note on just some of the notable moves today in the silly season, and if you could run through those for us.
Yeah, so the notes today, and I do want to thank the Racing Haven Discord server. That is where I did get a lot of this information from today. So our biggest one is no new changes for the playoffs, unfortunately, for a lot of us that are not big fans of the playoffs. NASCAR said nothing for this year. That doesn't rule out anything being changed next year, though. That could come next year. So just watch out for that. The next point I brought up is Corey LaJoy coming back to a part-time schedule for the Daytona 500. He'll be driving the number 01. First time we've seen the 01 since the 2000s.
Yeah, like
So
Joe
that's
Nemechek.
actually a really cool return for us to see. Reasoning for that is to advertise the stacking penny shows. As you know, .01 is a penny.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, he's going to be a prime analyst for 5 races this year. Could be 10 because we do know that the prime booth is actually going to do TNT as well. Uh, Front Row Motorsports did announce today their truck numbers. A lot of people thought Lane Riggs would stay in the flagship 38 truck, as he did get 2 wins last year as soon as the playoffs started. But no, they're moving Lane Riggs to the number 34 truck, as they'll put Chandler Smith in the 38 truck. Another one that is interesting is last year, Austin Dillon won in that very controversial finish at Richmond. NASCAR disqualified him from the playoffs with that win. But NASCAR did say today that Austin Dillon would be eligible to run the All-Star race this year at North Wilkesboro. So Austin Dillon is locked into that. And then as we were talking about just now, with the Dash for Cash races, NASCAR announced that as well as the Triple Truck Challenge. So Las Vegas will be the qualifying race for the first Dash for Cash race, which will take place at Homestead Miami Speedway. The other two will be Bristol Motor Speedway and Rockingham. That will be the three Dash for Cash races. So unfortunately, no Cup drivers for that. And then for the Triple Truck Challenge, you'll have Martinsville, Bristol, and Rockingham. So meaning no Cup drivers will be allowed to run at either Xfinity or Truck Series Rockingham races, unless NASCAR decides to say something else about it. But I doubt they'll change that. So really, we're only going to have a chance to see drivers come out of retirement to run Rockingham. NASCAR did say that they expect 40 to 41 entries for the Daytona Truck Race. As you guys know, the Craftsman Truck Series only allows 32 entries to drive in those races. So that send almost close to 10 cars home, 10 trucks home. And then the last thing I did make a point on today is their Rookie of the Year candidates were named. So in the Cup Series, you've only got two contenders. It is going to be Shane Van Gisbergen and Riley Herbst, which I think will be interesting because we know what SVG could do on road courses, and he has a little more experience in the Cup car. So I think he is my pick to win Rookie of the Year. But at the same time, I'm not going to rule out Riley Herbst because he is racing for the third car for 2311 Racing. He did show us in the Xfinity Series last year, and I'm not going to use Indianapolis. I know a lot of people like to use that race to talk about Herbst. I'm going to use Phoenix last year. The guy absolutely flat out dominated the race. Caution comes out, restarts, gets absolutely shoved in the wall by Justin Allgaier, and still came back and won the race in the last corner. I think we'll see something out of Riley Herbst this year. He showed us a lot on the super speedways in the past couple of years. He could show us something in the Cup Series. Xfinity Series Rookie of the Year lineup: Carson Kvapil, Connor Zilich. Those are two that we're going to look out for. Kvapil nearly won the Dover race last year against Ryan Truex. Unfortunately, came just short. Connor Zilich, first ever race, went ahead and won. Got a couple top fives last year. I expect a lot from those two. William Sawalich, who's absolutely lit up the ARCA scene the last couple years. He'll be driving for Joe Gibbs in the 2025 season, as well as Taylor Gray, I believe it is. He's also a Rookie of the Year contender. Christian Eckes will be going to Colleague Racing, replacing AJ Allmendinger. Daniel Dye will also be going to Colleague, replacing Daniel Hemrick. Nick Sanchez will be going to the number 48 for Big Machine Racing, replacing Parker Kligerman. And then Dean Thompson was named as a Rookie of the Year contender. In the Truck Series, we've got Freidinger, Ruggiero, Andres Perez. Perez won the ARCA championship last year, if I'm correct on that. Somebody confirm. Connor Mozak, he's done a couple races for Spire in the last year. Christian Rose is also named as a Rookie of the Year. And I think the big one that, might get some people talking, Frankie Muniz, after not being able to run much ARCA races last year, he is now going to be a full-time truck Rookie of the Year contender. I mean, personally, so if I have to go with the Xfinity Series, I'm going to say that my pick for the Xfinity Rookie of the Year is going to be either, I want to say Connor Zilich or Carson Kvapil. I mean, Eckes, he's got potential. We saw what Eckes could do, not only in Kyle Busch Motorsports equipment, but also in Bill McAnally equipment, which, some people were questioning, is Bill McAnally good based on how Derek Kraus was running? And Derek Kraus had a lot of potential in the K&N series. And then Christian Eckes comes out of the park swinging, basically establishing himself as a championship contender in that truck. So I think I could see him doing something with Colleague, but at the same time, Colleague has had some struggles the last couple of years. Daniel Dye as well made the Truck Series playoffs, had some standout runs. The one that stood out to me was at the Nashville Super Speedway, finishing second just behind Christian Eckes. Nick Sanchez showed some potential. I think I could see him doing something in the Big Machine 48. We saw what Parker Kligerman could do. Was 1 second away from winning that Charlotte Roval race last year. And like I said, I have no idea who Dean Thompson's racing for. I didn't even know that he got signed to the Xfinity Series. So sorry about that. If anybody does know, anybody in the chat, please also let us know on that.
Well, that might be the biggest news dump we have all for the existence of the tune-up. Like we said, I mean, we're trying to hit all of the silly season talking points here in episode 1 because this will be probably the beefiest show we'll ever have. And then once we get into roll, once the season starts, it'll just kind of be focusing on a week-to-week basis. I guess amongst everything you said, and I'd like the chat to get in on this too. What are your most notable takeaways from just the onslaught of silly season news? For me, and this is kind of a recency bias thing, I've always been a Corey LaJoy enjoyer. I met him at Talladega before COVID in like 2019. I've just always had a high opinion of him ever since. Very good with the fans, and I know he's been controversial with his racing style lately, and now he's no longer having a consistent ride in Cup. And so, yes, you could argue that there's a lack of talent to have a full-time ride, especially with all these up-and-coming drivers. But I, for one, am happy to still see him have a ride for Super Speedway nonetheless. As a Georgia native, someone living in Georgia, I was there. I go for every Atlanta race, and I was there in 2022 when he was the closest he'll ever be to a Cup win in that summer race, losing out to Chase Elliott there at the end. And so I'm happy to see him still sticking around, even if he's not going to be as much in Cup with that 0-1 ride at Daytona. Derek, I'll give it to you if you have any takeaways from the silly season news in NASCAR.
Yeah, I wanted to note in reference to the Front Row Motorsports moving Lane Riggs to the number 34, apart from the 38 where he was last season. Yeah, obviously Chandler Smith goes to the 38. I think this will be a terrific season for him in that truck. But with Riggs going to the 34, you usually think, oh well, 38's been always a strong truck here in the last couple of years. With, for example, Zane Smith and Tom Gillen, they both made the Cup Series eventually, and it just questions Front Row Motorsports' faith in Lane Riggs and if Riggs will have a suitable ride to the Cup Series if he's going to continue with this.
Cody?
Yeah, I'll jump on that little front row wagon there with you. Um, I'm gonna go to the other driver, uh, Chandler Smith. I feel like he's gonna be another John Hunter Nemechek. Not all the way up to the Cup Series, but up there in Xfinity Series, had some good years. Honestly, did not do too bad. Had a great start to last season. Then kind of, was mediocre throughout the year. Kind of just felt his way throughout the season. He's dropping back down the trucks. Couldn't find a ride in Xfinity, which is crazy to see how many because of all the new faces, in Xfinity this year. But I definitely will. I definitely am going to expect him to return back to the Xfinity Series on a top tier team within the next couple years, and succeed there. I also want to point out here, it is going to be. I'm making a bold statement here. It is going to be a junior motorsports all-out dogfight for the championship, the Rookie of the Year championship, not the NASCAR or not the NASCAR Xfinity
Okay,
Series championship.
it's a
Okay.
big difference.
I was
Yeah,
about to say, yeah,
yeah.
the championship. I don't
Connor,
know
yeah.
about that.
I want to throw you off there a little bit,
All right.
but Carson Quapple and Connor Zillage, they're going to be teammates this year, but I think they're going to tear it up. Justin Allgaier coming off his championship season that I hate to say it, I feel like he might go into a little bit of a slump. All the emotions run high. He's either gonna have a slump season or he's gonna just come back out and uh, kick some ass. So I can't really see on him going anywhere in between there. But yeah, the Connor Zilich and Carson Cobble, that's going to be the race you're going to want to watch all season here. We have what a stout lineup here of rookies into Xfinity series this season. You talk about the Cup Series, only 2 drivers. Kind of reminds me of the early 2000 or early 2010s. You had guys like Kevin Conway, Andy Lally, Stephen Light win Rookie of the Year. Their competition wasn't very stout. You had 2016 presidential contender Brian Keselowski. You had Truck Series legend T.J. Bell and Terry Cook. You have iRacing legend Josh or Timmy Hill, and then you have uh, sprint car racer Josh Wise. Uh, yeah, what I mean, a big list there. Andy Lally, like Dark said earlier, he's well known for the endurance racing now.
Yep.
But a very good road course driver. He, I, I wouldn't be surprised to see him show up in a few Xfinity races this year as one of the road course ringers. But yeah, that out of all the news there, I'm really looking forward to the season. So, and there's a lot that's coming into it.
I want to. I, I said a little bit earlier. We might as well in the first episode, uh, deliver the beans on our transparency with our allegiances and our motorsports favorites, and I'd like the chat as well to type in who are you rooting for? Who are your favorites in NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, all the motorsports? Might as well check them off here. I think we owe it to them as well, especially if they want to call us out on bias on any future episodes. And I think I'll start. Obviously, for me, NASCAR is first as far as fandom, and I grew up a diehard Jimmy Johnson fan. Naturally, when he retired, I hopped on to the Alex Bowman camp. The passion is not the same because it's impossible to be the same as it was with Jimmy Johnson, but I am still rooting for Alex Bowman every week. I will say it makes it easier though watching Bowman to be a little bit less biased when I'm trying to formulate an opinion on if he wrecked so and so versus Jimmy Johnson because in my eyes, Jimmy Johnson did no wrong. And IndyCar, I'm a Will Power fan. Have been for quite some time. My first IndyCar favorite driver was Tony Kanaan, though. And F1, as an American, I've always enjoyed Haas F1, but I've also been a very good enjoyer of McLaren, and especially watching Lando Norris come up through the ranks and watch him get his first win last year. And when it comes to stuff like endurance, IMSA, I like the Penske camps. I like Cadillac, and I like the GM Corvette teams, just from a general standpoint. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything here. Those are really the main ones. So why don't we flip it to you, Derek? Why don't you provide some transparency in who you like to root for?
Yeah, well, in NASCAR side of things, my favorite driver is Ross Chastain. I got to meet him twice at Talladega, and well, technically once. The second time I just saw him. I actually went to get a autograph from Daniel Suarez. But anyways, yeah, he was my favorite driver. I've been a fan of him even before the Hail Melon at Martinsville, and I've just always liked his rough and tough and type of racing. Even if he does get a lot of hate for his driving style by the drivers and fans, I just always still stuck with him even amidst the hate. In terms of F1, my favorite driver is probably Max Verstappen. Even though people can get tired of dominance, just like Lewis Hamilton was the previous decade. Uh, I just know Max Verstappen's an extremely fast driver, and he also just has great racecraft. And in terms of rookies, though, for F1, I definitely want to give a hat to Oscar Piastri. He's putting it to Lando Norris on that McLaren team. Lando is not the official number one driver in my eyes because Piastri is about as good
Yeah,
or even better than him.
it's competitive. We've got a Piastri fan in the chat as well, Ave. Might want to point that out.
Hmm.
It's a good choice.
All right, so is that everything for you, Derek? As far as
Yeah, I mean those
nothing
are
in
the
IndyCar.
IndyCar. I mean, not particularly. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say so. Maybe
All right,
Scott McLaughlin if I had to take a rough guess.
all right. Let's flip it over to Cody.
Yeah, so we'll go down the line here. Grew up a Dell Jr. fan, die hard. Chase Elliott kind of merged his way into that at the later years of Junior. So I've always been a Chase Elliott fan. I'm also pretty big on Justin Haley. Xfinity side, Allgaier, always been an Allgaier fan, even with Penske back in the day and everything. Always been big on him. Love me some Allgaier. And I am glad to see though my favorite truck driver now, Eckes, is moving up to the Xfinity series. So I'll be rooting for him. As we go to trucks, I'll always have a special place for good old Matt Crafton in my heart. But if I had to pick a favorite Truck Series driver coming into the new season, it's kind of hard for me to choose one. Um, I'd probably have to pick. Um, I do like Tanner Gray, but probably more of an Enfinger fan nowadays. Really like him. With Hamrick moving to the number 19 Napa truck, I'd like to see what he can do in that. And I've also been a Majeski fan, so I'm interested to see on what happens on that part. Um, as we go to if we go to IndyCar, New Garden hands down. Love the dude, met him many times. Um, have a personal connection with him. I've been in Victory Lane and with him. It really cool guy, great guy to meet. Very personable. Always been a big fan of his. If we go to F1, I don't watch F1 much, but if I had to choose one, it'd be Verstappen or Leclerc. Uh, I do like uh, I do like how Leclerc races. Kind of aggressive, but also kind of humble. So I've always been kind of big on that. I was a Verstappen fan when he first started actually winning a lot of races. So that was when I watched a little bit of F1. So
Yeah.
that if we're going to dirt racing side, we're going to wing sprint car, Tyler Courtney. Non-wing, I got Brady Bacon on my hoodie right now. Got to go with the Macho Man. Uh, midgets, I guess Ryan Timms, but he's kind of moving on to the sprint cars as well. Um, if I had to pick a West Coast sprint car driver, it had to be Dominic Gordon, no doubt, hands down. Love me some Dominic Gordon, but yeah. So I think that covers all my bases.
All right, and I mean, I think one driver's obvious with the next person on the panel here. We'll give it to Mark as he's picking up the camera. This ain't
Oh
good.
boy.
Yeah, I don't
Look
know
at
if y'all
Seen
that.
this one before.
Yeah, I'm obviously a very big Kyle Busch fan. Have been my whole life. Just as a kid, I went to this. So my introduction to him, I went to this restaurant here in Arizona called Hot Rods, and back in the day, they had some connections with Mars and whatnot. It was a NASCAR themed restaurant, which is really awesome. And when you walk in like the lobby area they have there, Kyle Busch's car was just sitting there, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's an M&M's car. Wow. And then one day I just turned on a TV. First race I ever watched was that I remember watching was the 2010 Bristol race. And that's the weekend Kyle Busch went ahead and swept the whole weekend.
I was there.
And yeah, Cody was there. And just watching that was really awesome. Um, huge Kyle Busch fan. Have been my whole life. And then Xfinity wise, I mean, I didn't really have an Xfinity driver until like last year. I became a Justin Allgaier fan in November of 2023 after meeting the guy. Absolutely amazing driver to meet. In my opinion, the best driver in all of NASCAR you can meet. Doesn't matter if he has media obligations, if he's trying just to go home, whatever. Like if he sees a fan, the fan wants to talk to him, he'll come over and he'll talk to you. And then same thing at Talladega when I met these three guys. Saw Allgaier just chilling at the JRM hall or signing autographs. It was him, Sammy Smith, and Carson Quapple all over there just signing stuff. And when I went over there to get an Allgaier autograph, he stayed for I think like 5 minutes past when the session ended, just signing stuff for fans, while the other two went back to do their own thing. So Justin Allgaier's just been honestly a class act guy, and it was really awesome to finally see him break through, win the title. Truck series, I mean, I don't really have a truck series favorite because all I did when Kyle Busch still had KBM, I just cheered for whoever was KBM. So for a year, I was cheering for like Jack Wood and Chase Purdy. So now I don't really have a truck favorite, so it's just easy to watch the truck series. F1, my main two guys are Verstappen and Alonso. Max Verstappen I like because if you can't tell by my last name, I have a little bit of a Dutch heritage. So I like seeing the Dutchmen do some stuff, and plus I have family over in the Netherlands that like watching Max a lot, and I just really like his aggressive racing style. And same thing with Alonso, watching the old man get out there, be aggressive with all these young guns, racing drivers that weren't even alive when he first started F1.
Mhm.
I mean, it's really awesome just to watch him get out there and still kick butt, even if he's not given the greatest equipment. IndyCar, I don't really have an IndyCar favorite, to be honest with you. Like so it's just easy for me to watch IndyCar neutrally, but I do
Yes.
like Pato Award's pretty cool. I like him.
All right, and for the record, Fernando Alonso is my first favorite F1 driver, and I forgot to mention, I've been a big fan of Rajah Caruth coming up in the Truck Series, and I kind of like the revolving seat in JRM usually. Sammy Smith, I was rooting for last season. Looking over here at the chat, we've got a Reddick fan and Ave. I mentioned he was a Piastri fan as well. Hudson Pollard in the chat likes Briscoe, Graxenbusher, and Chastain, and of course we got Axel as well. He's a Suarez fan, and a Paddle Award fan, Verstappen as well. And it's just going to be interesting if chat calls us out on possible bias in our opinions going forward. That's why we put the transparency out there. We might have to take one more break before the show's over. We're gonna run a bit long. Hopefully, we're done by 10:15, if not 10:30. I don't think we'll be going that long. Again, I'd like to reiterate, we will never ever have a show that goes this long. I don't think ever again. This was always going to be a very big episode, the opening episode, where we're trying to check off so many topics, as well as kind of try and build that relationship with the audience and just kind of establish ourselves and introduce the show, of course. Let's move on while we have a chance right here to one of our final segments. And actually, before we do this, I did want to check in uh, with Cody Sill, because before we move on, we want to introduce hopefully one of our weekly segments when Cody Sill presents none other than turning my wrenches, or what turns his wrenches. Cody, I want to hand the floor to you.
Yeah, and I've been trying to think of a topic for the first episode here on what I uh I want to talk about, and I can't really put my finger down on one. Um, I guess I'm gonna have to be very um open about this one. So what I'm gonna say is the criticism of drivers uh by fans who do not know what they're talking about. I think this is something that is coming up more and more. You get with the influx of new fans, you get a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about. It's kind of funny at times, but it's also kind of annoying. I've sat by some of these fans at races such as Talladega 2022 for the spring race. I had a person who did not like Bubba Wallace, nor did they like Ross Chastain. Um, and they made sure they knew it. The best thing about that race was Ross Chastain ended up winning. Um, so it's that's my biggest thing. I really want in the future. I'm gonna have a better topic to really kick off here.
Don't
Um,
worry, I've got one when you're done.
all right. I wasn't trying to find anything bad to say about so many people, but yeah. All right, I'm very interested now to hear what yours is though, because I did not know about this.
Yeah, so something that really turns my wrenches, and I'd like to hear what the audience thinks about this. What the hell is up with the backstretch at Daytona now? I know they took out the grass, but watching the Rolex 24, that is an eyesore watching them go through the Le Mans chicane. And I just get sad thinking about it. And I guess the only way to make it good is because, the cited reason that they took out the grass was because they needed to take away something that could prevent the cars from getting snagged on the ground if they get airborne, which makes those flips violent. I get it, but look what we're left with now. And instead of building a car that stayed on the ground good, even after they were already lowering the speed, we have to be left with an entirely paved backstretch. And nothing that makes the chicane stand out besides some signage put up for the Rolex 24. And so, what I think they need to do is look at what Charlotte's done on the backstretch, where they've painted around that chicane. At least put something there. I mean, it is just awful. I mean, curious what you guys think about it. I think this is already something chat's talking about.
I'll start off first. taking away the grass and what they call the Le Mans chicane now, it kind of ruined the whole idea of the backstretch chicane for me. I love the idea of seeing grass fly up whenever you go a little too wide out of the exit. Now you just got to worry about not hitting that white billboard thing coming out of it, and also in terms of cutting it. I mean, people will cut it by accident, and then they'll get penalties like they did in the Rolex 24. So I just wish they didn't make that decision to remove the grass. I mean, I get the safety concerns, but at the same time, it the pavement only slows you down a little bit more, just a little bit more into that barrier than grass would, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I don't want the backstretch chicane to turn into like a French Grand Prix.
All
Hmm.
right. Real quickly, Marcus, do you have anything on that, or just something that turns your
Yeah.
wrenches?
And so I was at the race that I was, and so is one of our viewers in the chat, Tower Sage. We were both at the race that is used as a cited reason for removing it, which was where Ryan Preece violently flipped on the backstretch. And I think a solution that could have been done is maybe put turf right there. I mean, like that's what we've seen plenty of racetracks, SMI mainly do. We see it at places like Charlotte. They have turf there. Obviously, Chris Buescher found a way to flip on it somehow, but like Texas Motor Speedway and Charlotte Motor Speedway both put turf down to prevent massive flips in the grass like that. And for the most part, it's worked. I think if we put it at Daytona, it wouldn't make much of a difference because if you ever watch a Charlotte race, you can see that the turf can actually, carry the same amount of speed as, say, the racing surface, as shown by William Byron and Tyler Reddick previously. I don't think they needed to take the grass out and completely take away the soul that the backstretch chicane brought. They just could have put something artificial there that would have definitely helped in a case like what we saw with Ryan Preece. But we also did see the benefit from it with Josh Berry because he flipped in the exact same place that Ryan Preece flipped. And I can tell you at the crash, it looked a lot worse, like hit wise, but it wasn't nearly as violent as what Ryan Preece went through.
And
You know,
yeah, you can go ahead, Cody.
you know what, you guys are all bringing great topics up for the turn my wrench, and you know what, you guys are right. I'm gonna put this back in a little bit of a dark side of a topic though. Eric McClure, 2000, and I do believe 11, Talladega,
Oh yeah.
down the back straightaway, lost brakes, involved in a wreck, and because of the pavement being there, the car sped up instead of hitting the grass and losing traction and speed. He
Great
hit the
point.
inside wall head on, broke his legs. Sadly, we lost Aaron McClure a few years ago. Um, and there were some signs pointing that that exact incident, may have had long-term effects and possibly had influence on his passing at a lot earlier age than what he should have. So I see it in both ways of safety, but you know, we run at these big tracks, so brakes are not a big factor here. Teams on sometimes even lower their brake bias and everything so
Mhm.
that they gain more speed in qualifying or something, and they don't put as much emphasis on the brakes as they used to. So it's probably a lot easier for brakes to go out. It's rare to see that nowadays. But yeah, I don't know. Um, I agree with you guys though. The turf, no doubt, should be there. I think they should definitely look into that. I'd even go as far saying you could paint it, look like grass, to
Well,
make it look
it should at least be painted. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to go to one more break. We'll be back in hopefully a shorter amount of time than we were the first time, and we're gonna wrap up the show. All of our segments before we're done today are gonna be highly interactive, so stick around. You won't want to miss it, and we should be done within the next half hour, if not less. But for now, we're gonna take one final break. Back here on the Tune Up, the finished episode 1 is in sight. And as we bring you back onto the panel here, this is the part that you all been waiting for the chat that has stuck around. We appreciate being here for now 2 hours, and this will be the longest running show ever. We're planning on this being an hour and a half, and it's going to be a bit longer, and almost an hour longer when it's all said and done. Hopefully, this will never be the case going forward. Our shows are aimed to be around an hour. Of course, we also had an interview, which made the show longer. We won't have an interview every show, but we're always welcoming to it. Like I said, we've got interactive segments here from basically this point on out. Be vocal in the chat and join along with us here as Derek Smith is screen sharing, and we're going to run through some of the 2025 paint schemes going into the season, and we're going to give a grade 1 out of 10. And don't just say any of those 10 numbers as well. You can also go further in depth, give a decimal if you want as well. We're going to go right into this. Why don't you start, Derek?
Alrighty, first one. Number 1, Trackhouse Racing, Ross Chastain with Busch Light and Kubota.
Okay. It looks similar to his previous schemes. I do like that side though. I think this is I like it. That's a 8.6 out of 10 for me.
All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give it like I'm gonna give it a 7.5 personally. Like I feel like it's a little bit of a downgrade from what last year was. Not a bad looking car though. I mean I still think it's a pretty decent car.
I think it
Regardless.
presents the logo well on the side.
It does. I will say it does present the logo well, but I mean it's just not as it's not as flashy as it was last year.
5.8.
Yeah.
Especially with this Kansas win.
5.8, and this is coming from a Ross Chastain.
I don't like it that much.
I gotta give it. I'm gonna go 9. I absolutely enjoy this scheme. I love the fade. I love it how it kind of rips in there. Kubota coming on board. Was it last season, season before last? Really big pickup for Trackhouse.
What was it? The Busch Light scheme I saw next?
Yeah, and I feel
Yep.
like the older schemes we can kind of go through quickly.
I mean, how are you going to go wrong with that? That's like
This,
Yeah.
that's a 9.2 out of 10
That's
for
a
me.
9.
Yeah, this
That's
is
a 9.
easy 9 for me. Better than Harvick's ever ran. Well, not I can't say that.
No,
But better
Harvick
than Harvick's
2017.
primary.
His
9.7.
2017 was pretty good.
The thing is, that thing just stands out. That you're gonna see that from far away. Like when they're going down
Yeah.
the backstretch at a mile and a half. If you're in the stands, you know which car that is.
I'm gonna give that a 124 worthy.
Hey
Mm.
Derek, I think I saw like little arrows on the side. I don't know if those would just take you to the next team or not.
Oh,
Like-
okay. All right.
Like I don't know. I would try it really quick.
All right. Here's Austin Cindric's number 2
I thought I
scheme.
did.
So that's that's the typical Menards with the different
Typical.
sponsor on the front. It's never been wrong. There's nothing wrong with the scheme. It's never been bad. It's just nothing special about it.
It's the same thing every year. I mean,
6.3.
Yeah, 6.8.
I'm gonna say
5.8.
I'm gonna say a 7. I mean, the Menards cars, you got that very bright yellow. It gets the fans attached to it.
Yeah, that's also good for branding every year.
This one's a little
Ooh.
newer. I like
Blue
this
Book
actually.
Auto Trader. I like that. I'll give it a 7.9.
As someone who attends Atlanta, it reminds me of when Kozlowski ran the 2 Auto Trader. He won both his
Mhm.
Gen 6 Atlanta races in that scheme. And
Yeah.
there's not a lot going on besides the 2 stripes. So for that reason, it's a 7.2 for me.
I'm gonna say like a 6.9 for me. I mean, Auto Trader. I mean, it's kind of just been a little the last couple of years, but it's still not a bad car. It's still, like I said with the Menards car, it's orange, vibrant. It stands out.
Yep.
And I think it's very nostalgic looking, so I'll give it a 7.8. And just so we know, we have a lot to get through. So
Yeah. All right. We might be speed running this here. So just with the same
Yeah,
discount tire scheme, nothing wrong with it. 7.9.
I say an 8. This kind of
5.2.
can't go wrong.
Never been a big fan of it. Never have.
7.0. I mean,
I
that's
missed the
that's pretty.
Xfinity cars.
Yeah, that's what it really kind of came
I'll
from.
say the higher side skirt, like what Kozlowski had in 21, was definitely better. That's it for Centric.
All right, where's this arrow you're talking about?
Yeah,
Michael?
what are you talking about?
I thought I saw one. I guess I'm stupid as usual.
Yeah, I'll just do this. All right, Austin
You're
Dillon.
first.
He has 5 schemes here.
Oh, boy.
Zach gave all these a 0.
I love it. I love it. It reminds me of Richmond last year. Yeah, I think I
Aw.
should be transparent. I'm not a big Logano
I
fan.
think
so it's
people
nice
wanted to
seeing
use
this
what
car.
that sponsor was on Dylan at the Richmond last year. Um,
Jesus Christ.
no, I like the scheme. Camo's pretty nice. I actually, the more I look at it, I kind of like it more. I'll give it an 8.7.
7.4. Camo doesn't move me as much as it does with other people.
Not the
said
biggest fan of this one. 5.7.
I need to start giving harsher grades.
Ooh,
What is
Newer
that?
one.
that
Looks like
It's a new
Titan Wrist
sponsor.
Solutions.
I say a 7. Solid 7.
reminds me of a baseball team. I like it.
It's like Dale
8.5.
Jr.'s All-Star car. A little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Dale.
It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
It does.
The All-Star
I'll
game
give it an
car.
8.0.
Since we're on the Xfinity cars, I think the Xfinity cars look better. I'm gonna say an 8 because the Xfinity cars I just feel like take up the space better.
7.7 for me.
Dow Jones.
Oh.
Can't go wrong with Dow. Solid 8.5.
I always wish Dow was just continually his primary sponsor like it used to be because there's Bass Pro
Yeah.
and for other teams. And for this, I don't mind that. It's kind of interesting. It's almost a little bit too much going on. I'm sticking in the 7s. I'll go with the 7.5.
I can't decide whether I really like this car or I really don't, so I'm going to give it a 5.5.
8.6475.
Ooh.
But what?
Hey, you said any decimal, right?
Yeah, you're right.
All right, 2 schemes from.
So here's a new ride.
Yes,
That
Noah
guy.
Grigson.
That got leaked a while ago, and I was in love with the car when it got leaked.
Think about what the Russ Truck Center scheme was last year compared to
This
this.
is such an upgrade, dude. Last year, the best one was
upgrade.
the one that we all watched race in person, the Tony Stewart throwback.
Yeah.
I mean, this.
I
just
know, and that
stands
wasn't
out.
even it. Yeah. I gotta give this one an 8.9. Really
I'm gonna
like
say
it. Really well done.
9.5.
Yeah, 8.8.
I also just like.
8.95. So
I
that's
also just
high
like
one.
that Gregson has. I mean, the front row and the Stewart Haas fonts are very similar. He's bringing the iconic 4 with him.
Yeah, it still looks
Still
like a
in the
This
Stewart
next
cover.
one
Haas
right
car.
here, or not this one, the one after it, I think.
Here's
This
Zep.
one, though, is not bad. Zep.
What's that? What is Zep?
Yeah, Zep.
It's like
Looks like
car
it's
cleaning
cleaning.
product.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I can't remember who used to be sponsored by Zep. But this is a really well done scheme.
Briscoe
Really like
at
it.
New Hampshire.
I give it a 9.1.
8.8, bright colors.
Did I say what did
9.2.
I think I said 8.5. I'm gonna stick with that. Honestly, this car stands out. I like it.
Oh, now this is the scheme I'm talking
I
about.
know,
Now
it's
this
10.
is gonna be my
10.
first. This is gonna be my first 10 of the year,
Wow.
or of
Wow.
the list.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Reminds me of the old Jeff Burton. Really nice looking scheme.
I guess you could say that, but it's like, what's going on with the white bumper? That's kind of a harsh change.
That might be for a sponsor coming in the future.
For me, this is almost too much going on, kind of like the Austin Dillon car. I see the potential. It's also a new sponsor to get used to, though, so it almost makes it look like a backmarker car to me at first. But I'll give it a 7.1.
Yeah.
I love it. 9.9.
Ooh, almost a 10.
See, this is like one of those schemes where
That's a reference to his number.
people have different takes on it, and we're seeing
Yeah.
that right now.
I love that when it came out. I think that's gonna
I
be
can
it.
tell you, I do know a big sponsor that's coming on board for him. So I think people are going to be surprised to see when it does come.
Who is it?
All right,
You
Let
guys will
us know.
find out after. I'll tell you after the stream.
let's speed
Oh,
up. Let's stick to
Kyle Larson.
let's do just the rate numbers right now.
Honestly, 6.5.
Hmm.
7.2.
7.5.
Too
Like-
much red.
Like 4.9. That's kind of ugly to me.
Needs
Ooh.
more. It needs more blue.
Okay.
Yeah, the
I
You
classic.
can't go. You don't
8.
go wrong with the Hendrick cars. 8.
Great scheme.
This is
8.8.
8.1.
Ricky Hendrick.
8.
Yep.
8.1.
Just yep.
Brad
That's what we're looking
Keselowski.
Oh
Ooh.
yeah, this is him
Ooh.
and Priest. So honestly, like
Yeah,
that's kind of.
Priest is on board. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I'm gonna say like a 4 point. The cars are just boring compared to what they were before. The Solomon cars used to be cool looking.
7.8.
I'm gonna say a 4.9. Just like not even enough, not even a sponsor space in the back's filled in.
5.5.
I like basic cars. Give me a 7.8.
Oh, love that. Absolutely love that.
Whoa.
8.4.
9.2.
Mm,
I
give
like,
me an 8.1.
if
two.
that's game one with Stenhouse, maybe that'll help Keselowski.
9.4.
Yes.
Oh,
And
9.7.
10. Love that.
That's a retro. That's almost retro
I
Castrol.
like the
Yeah.
previous Cashful schemes, but that's still a 9.1.
That's
9.2.
retro. I
Yeah,
mean, the only thing is the
9.7.
pillars kind of mess with the design, but like it still works. I really like it.
Okay, this one's kind of weird.
Looks
to
like
me.
it was made it for Inner 2 on 3. Give
Yeah.
me a 8.7.
6.3.
I'm not. I'm gonna say like I don't really vibe with it. I'm gonna say like a 6.2.
6.5.
That's a good
He had a
one.
lot of schemes.
Like
Good for RFK. Good for RFK.
9.5.
I'm gonna say honestly a 9.2. These stand out a lot.
Don't know what drug it is, but I like it.
Yeah.
9.4.
7.1.
Man, look at all these schemes.
There's
I love
so
this.
many. All right.
This is
Oh,
a
the convertible
9.2.
car.
Keselowski's is a 9.2. Prius's is like a 6.
8.7.
Yeah, I don't like what's going on with Priuses.
Yeah,
Like
give
Prius
me
is
a
just it's a gradient.
6.7.
Prius's feels lazy. Keselowski, it's simple, but it's nice.
This is a
Love them simple
6.6 for
schemes.
me.
Oh yes, here we go.
Here's
10.
Marcus' favorite driver.
Yeah.
No,
10.
don't
Right
be
there.
biased.
10
Here's-
out of
Here's
10.
where the bias comes in.
You're biased.
I
This
know.
is like a 3.2.
Yeah,
Wow.
that
Cannot
is-
believe you. Cannot believe
Yeah.
you, Derek. You no taste.
Oh,
That's like a
I don't like that
5.5.
one.
Oh, love,
Yeah, that's gonna be a
absolutely love it. I'm gonna
4.2.
say 18 out of 10.
But that's good.
Yeah, 7.5.
I like
8.9.
6.2.
In all seriousness, I'm gonna say a
and
9
it's
out of
not
10.
good. Doesn't do anything for me.
That was it for the Kyle Busch
Re-
games.
Yeah, I really
No,
hope more.
the Cheddar's car. I should note the Cheddar's cars are the same as last year, so
Oh well.
Those aren't bad.
Here we go. All
those are
right.
good.
Mm,
Here's Cody.
Oh, I've never been a big Kelly Blue Book fan since they left Junior. They've not done well for me on paint schemes. Give me a 6.7.
My gripe
6.8.
with my gripe with the car is if they made the front bumper navy blue, kind of like how it splits down the front, that would make it a lot better in my opinion. But I'm gonna say like a 6.2 as well.
It is.
5.1.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, now this
Yeah, this one's good.
is a nice scheme, but it's not a 10 for me.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a 9.8.
8.5.
7.8.
I had a bad initial reaction, but I'm starting to like it a little more. So 6.2.
Yeah,
That's a nice car.
this
One
one's
of his
10.
better Lumar schemes.
This
Looks
is
like
the
a
best
condom
one since
company.
like. This is
Eight.
the best Lumar car since Bowman.
8.9.
Yeah.
Give me a 9.6. Best Lumar scheme he's had in a while. in my opinion.
That's the best
7.7.
one he's ever had, actually.
Yeah. Love the new
Yeah,
Napa.
that's good.
Give me a 9.8 again.
My main,
8.1.
I wish there was more. I wish there was more yellow, like what his
Yeah.
like 2014 to 2017 cars are like. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
but there's also a different type of blue.
it is a different type of blue, yeah, but like it might grow on me during the season. But for right now, I'm gonna say 5.6.
9.3. Ty Dillon.
On the Ty Dillon.
Ew.
Ooh.
2.4.
Ah,
3.2.
really? Guys, I like this scheme. Give me a 7.1. I do.
Wow.
I like
I
it better
like it.
than the Kyle Busch scheme, so I'll
I
give
like
it
it. I like
3.4.
it better than Ty Dillon. So
Damn.
Wasn't too great there. Here's Denny Hamlin with Sports
they lost
Clips.
Mavis, but Sports Clips comes on board again. Sports Clips always is key for a good scheme. Give me an 8.1.
My main gripe with this is there's like look at all the sponsor space that's not being used. Like I'm gonna say like
Yeah.
until they get more sponsors on it, like 6.2, like Yahoo couldn't have been on the car, you know?
7.6.
I like this one, 9.0.
Surprised only one scheme there.
Ryan Blaney with 4 schemes.
This one's always
Ooh.
nice. This one's always good.
Worth of that good schemes. Or
Most
Kozlowski came from years ago with a red and yellow, white, great scheme. Give
8.1.
me a 9.1.
are the lines on the hood, is that new or has that always been there?
That's new. Those lines
Yeah.
are new.
I think I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it an 8.6.
8.5.
Let me give it some high scores here. Dent Wizard.
Mm.
Reminds me of an Xfinity car. I don't know why, just the
7.2.
look of it.
6.6.
I like it. Give me a
7.2.
8.6.
7.2.
Classic. I mean, it's not
Better
great being
than
the main.
7.5.
7.0.
7.9.
By the way, chat, go ahead and
7
give
as
your
well.
ratings of these cars. Make sure you put what car it is so we know.
Just start putting ratings in.
Yeah.
Just like
I
go
want
spam the
I want to
chat.
know what the chat has to say about it, you know?
Okay. Wabash, I'd give that like a 7.0. No, sorry, 7.5.
7.9.
7.1.
I'm not the biggest fan of it. Give me a 5.9.
Oh, the discount car. I love the Blaney discount car. I wish discount would go with Logano though, so Logano could bring back the discount 22.
I'm getting phased out by the Cindric discount tires, so I'm gonna automatically put it down to like a 6.
4.
Yeah,
Eight, 8.5.
this
I
is
think
better
the
than
12
Cindric's,
actually
but
makes it.
it's not.
It being
I'm
the
gonna give it
12
an
makes it look better.
8-1.
Ooh, yes. This one
Mm.
reminds me of Rusty Wallace. I like it. I'm gonna say
I
8.
can see where you get that, but I'm not been a big fan of this scheme. Give me a 5-1.
7-4. Let's do
8.1.
strict number ratings now. It's
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, Marcus.
I like
That's all
yapping.
Marcus.
I
Alright.
like yapping. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a 9-7 easy all day.
8.7.
9-4.
799.
We already rated that.
Whatever my rating was
Well,
before,
no,
I
it's
forgot.
different.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is different though. It's got the blue. The blue does wonders for me. 9-1.
I like it. 9.2.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
that's a
8.5.
10. Give me a
9.7.
10.
The
9.7.
Minecraft Creeper car 8.5.
Second 10 of the afternoon.
Ogre
Oh,
cars.
Oh, yeah, same rating as
forgot about
before.
His Bushers reminds me of Stenhouse's 2020 car. If you guys remember that one.
that.
Mhm.
8-1.
Kind of ugly
7-0.
compared to this one. 7.1.
Oh, 9-8 all day.
Yeah.
The chrome
I
numbers.
think that's a 10.
9-4.
The colors just
9.4.
complement it so well.
Derek and Zach have not given a 10 yet.
Yeah, it's hard to be perfect.
Military contractors 9.7.
Yeah,
9-0.
not this one for me. It's 9-6.
8.7.
Oh, give me another 10 for
Um,
old
7-8.
I like that. I'll give it a 9.0.
8-9.
By the way, it's
Okay.
just not getting rich for those who want it.
Chase Briscoe. Mr. Spoiled.
I like it.
Not too bad.
Sorry.
8.2.
7-6.
8-5.
I don't like it compared to Trux. 8.4. Christopher Bell.
Yes.
Ooh.
Ooh, beautiful.
That's 9. That's a
9.4.
9-2.
9-8.
Wow, that's one of the highest ratings Zach has given out so far.
I'll give it a 9.5.
If it was blue, that would make it look like old.
No.
Hey.
Racers. The driver himself, I'd give a 10. The car, I'm giving a 8.2.
Give me an 8.9 on the car. Nice looking, better racer scheme.
8-0.
Reminds me of the old Nationwide
8.1.
cars.
Okay.
We've
This
seen
looks
that already.
Is
Yeah,
that? Yeah, I was gonna say.
DeWalt's.
Oh, 5-1. Not a big fan of it.
I like the simplicity of it. I'm gonna say like a 8-9.
8-0.
It's like the Kenseth cars, you know, they were
7.4.
simple and people liked them. I like that.
Mm.
4-2.
I give 4.1.
Oh,
So
5.
the Ream logo looks so displaced.
Look
He's
how much.
literally had the same. He's had the same car since the Xfinity series. Look it up if you don't believe me.
Josh Berry driving Wood Brothers Racing. Okay.
I
Ooh.
love the idea.
Wow.
It reminds me of the 2010s.
I've not seen that yet.
So
8.9.
am I supposed to be harsh on a throwback?
I don't know. How could you be harsh? So that is a very good looking throwback for being so basic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basic. It's like 5.0, you know? But it's also
No,
throwback.
That's an
9.
8. That's an 8.7.
I'll give it a 9.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, that's all he's gonna drive all year.
All right.
right.
Joey Logano.
That
I like
I
that
like
better
the
than
blue.
Cindric's 8.9.
Yeah, I like the
Why is
blue.
the discount tire logo just floating?
8-6.
Oh, I like that.
look. Yeah,
I actually
new
like
look to
that.
the shell scheme. It needed it. 8.6.
7.6.
Nothing beats pre-next gen shell. That's a 7-2.
Yeah,
6.6.
the spokes are always the best.
4-0.
Honestly,
3.2.
Honestly, 2.4.
4-4.
I don't.
Like on track, you're not even gonna see like the little like subtle design. You're just gonna see a green blob.
Yeah.
All right, one scheme for Bubba.
Ooh.
Downgrade.
Oh, that's a downgrade.
Yeah.
I like it. Give me a
6-2.
give me a
5.4.
7-1.
5.4.
6.3.
6-2.
I'm actually 5'11".
I don't know if 2311 used most of their budget in the lawsuit, but
The
same car as usual. Like I like it. 7.6.
6'9".
8-0.
7.6. This car's always been nice.
8-4.
This car. Here we go. 9.1. We're back in the nines.
5-5.
6-9.
This is a little better than the Larson one, so I'm gonna say like 7.2.
Really?
I like this better than Larson.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
we're gonna keep going fast here. All right.
0.
8-2.
Don't like our computers, but like the scheme 8-2.
7-3.
So boring.
Raptor.
This I could get behind.
3-7.
6.
What? 8.1.
7-5.
That's the best Raptor car he's had.
Oh.
Had. Gave him his
That's
own
a
version of the
9-8.
flame. Own version of the flame. It stands out from what Jeff Gordon was.
Nostalgic 8.4.
9-7.
Okay, that's it. Next
We'll
on.
Just say they
do-
need to bring back Byron's car that ran at Dover as a backup with a white Raptor.
9.8.
7-2.
9.8. I'm going to 9-1, but very nice game for you.
I'm
love
saying
Todd Gilliam.
8-1.
Boring. We go from a great scheme to this. Give me the number 3-4.
Listen. I like the gold number. It kind of makes it look a little like retro.
1-4.
5-4.
Oh.
I'm gonna say 6.5.
Oh man, you just got pickled.
Man, I thought that was something else.
3-2.
I'm gonna go with the number again. 3-4.
4-9.
I guess you can only have one.
4-8.
What's the next one? Ollies? No, loves. Why did I say Ollies?
8.5.
7-6.
The Love's car.
7-7.
The Love's car is simple, but it's really nice.
What do we got next?
Nothing. It's the NASCAR store.
Oh, I was like, we're gonna rank those guys too.
41.
35. Riley.
Oh, I
Herbst.
forgot about.
Oh, I forgot Herbs. Oh, I'm not.
Nice.
I like it.
9-2.
8-5.
I like the gradient on the hood. I think the gradient on the roof
8-8.
is so it's not a Spire's nightmare, but I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
I've not seen that yet.
38. Zane Smith.
3-8.
5-6, I guess. I'm not too sure.
4-0.
4.1.
Okay, here's this one.
I actually like. I kind of like 7.2. It's not a bad car. I think it's actually better compared to old Steve.
5-8.
6-5.
I like giving high ratings.
Okay, here we go to Cole
41.
Custer. He's back.
Oh,
It's not as good as Priest's from last year.
7-3.
6-7.
6.8.
I give
Not
it
as good as
8.
Priest's last
I'll
year.
give it 8.7. Fuck.
Wow,
Screw it.
there you go. I love the diversity we got in this.
All right, Tyler Reddick.
Oh,
I like it. I like the message this had. This is definitely a big middle finger to NASCAR.
Yeah, why are they censoring him?
Yeah.
So the meaning
Unbannable.
behind this car is
Oh,
to
God.
because they banned Jordan. The NBA tried to ban Jordan back in the day.
Okay, well, because of the message, I like it 8.5.
give me 8.8.
Yeah,
8.7. I like it.
Nice scheme.
It's an
Nice scheme.
8 for
That's
me.
all that's been released. They also released the Beast car is at Daytona.
Ricky Stenhouse.
You can't go wrong with
D.
Sunny D.
Yeah, I love Sunny D. Give me
8.2.
Scheme isn't doing it for me, but the Sunny D does do it for me.
Too much orange and yellow. I'm gonna give it 5.7.
I am concerned with the lack of sponsorship for Hayek. I think they go under in the next couple of years.
That's sad.
Alex Bowman.
Ooh, not bad.
It's
I
not
think that's an
8-1.
upgrade.
No, it's a downgrade. I really liked last year's car.
6-0.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's coming from a Bowman fan.
5.7.
6-7.
It might grow on me, but
Alright, we're
I
starting to-
liked last year a lot better.
We got not too many left now.
Yep.
Rick,
I mean, pretty simple.
7-8.
Yeah, 7.8.
Got
The
color
message
greens.
behind it is good.
8-0.
Give me 8. Give me 8. Give me 8-0.
Ty Gibbs.
So I love that they signed these guys after FedEx leaves. Give me
I like
8.5. Nice looking scheme.
Yeah, 8.5 as well.
You see a lot of these semi trucks out there, or the
8-7.
trailers at least.
This car looks like it could be a good collaboration with the Commanders if they wanted to.
7 6.
Previous
For
rating.
priests,
Previous rating.
give me
Whatever that was.
6.2. I don't know what my previous rating was for that. This, you throwing all types of colors, sponsors, everything at it. I love it. 8.5.
2.
Ooh.
That's
There's
the
too
lowest one
much.
I've heard so far.
There's
Okay,
there's too much
6.4.
going on. Like 5.2.
It feels like 2 different
The
cars.
transition is awful from the green to the
Yeah.
red.
Yeah, there's too much going on.
All right. Yeah, here's the car right here.
Same rating as
Oh,
last
that's
time.
nice. 8.2.
8.4.
Previous.
Oh, I think the Mohawk car. That
Yeah,
one's pretty good.
Not bad. 9.1.
8.9. That's the best priest car so far.
8.4.
8.6.
Unfortunately.
I'll give you RFK. They know how to use their sponsors.
And previous
9.1
rating,
again.
Previous rating. I think I gave a high
Previous.
rating to them.
9.2, I think.
Love to see that. Love to see the uprise of RFK.
And Michael McDowell in the 71. That's strange. to me.
Ah,
I
Yeah.
know. I like that. Give me a 7.7
5, 7.
7.2.
for height.
5.3. That's cool.
Ooh, 9. 9.5.
Oh, yeah, that's a 9. That's a flat 9.
8.6.
9.6.
Ooh,
Hocevar.
Horsey Var.
Oh, yeah. Hocevar got a minor car.
7, 7.
Yeah. I guess I'll go.
Oh, I don't know.
6.
I'll go 7.6.
I'll go.
Actually, no, I'm gonna up it 8.2.
Give me an 8.5.
That's a lot better than what Barry had last year. I'm gonna be honest.
Ziegler.
Brings back Siegler.
Yeah, saying like
A little bit different look. 6.1.
7, 7.
7.2.
5.7.
All right. All in a range there.
Here's
Oh, here we go.
Red Bull.
Do not like the Red Bull scheme. Give me a 2.9. Do not like the Red Bull scheme.
I'm gonna be real. Like they needed to make it look like the early 2000s. I'm gonna say like a 4.2.
6.
It might go on me, but don't like it.
No, it's a 7 for me.
4.9746.
And this
Yeah.
is while there is wearing. Hey,
Also
wait, you get one more.
Oh
Yeah,
my
no,
bad.
the WeatherTech car is like a solid 8.
WeatherTech for me is a 10.
I know.
That is a 10 for me. Love it. Loved it when it came out.
9.63.
Didn't it get released during Dega Week?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
That's right.
you guys probably got to see it in the infield.
And Daniel
It's
Suarez.
it's a downgrade.
Yeah.
No, it's.
What
I
happened?
don't think it is. That's a 9.7.
I like the white base.
I like the white base too.
6,
I'm gonna
7.
say a 7.
I like it.
7.1.
That's it. Okay.
Is that it?
Is
Are we
it?
Hey, now we get the
doing
part-time cars though.
There's some part-time cars.
Do you want to
You
do a
want-
part? Yeah, we'll do 'em.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
always
do them.
quick.
They're racing this year.
Orla Joy.
7, 1.
I'm
5.2.
so it gives me an old school look. I'm gonna say a
7.8.
7.2.
7.8.
I like that the 01's back.
Oh wait, there's another one.
No,
Okay. There's Justin Allgaiers.
10.
I like this car, but
That
it's
one
not
was
10,
beautiful.
9.5.
9.
I heard the whiskey's not good, but I haven't tried it, so I don't know.
This is a 9.9. Say Burt Myers. Who's that?
This is supposed to be
Let's
like
go, Burt
a
Myers.
modified.
4, 1.
Oh,
Mm,
Burt Myers. Wait, he's a Bowman-Gray
5.7.
Stadium guy.
Yeah,
My
that's
bad. Yeah.
supposed to be his modified car.
I like that car. Give me an 8.7.
5.9.
I'm gonna say 7.2. Ooh, wait! You skipped the best one.
Oh.
What?
But there's only
No,
one.
Yeah, Burt Myers.
No,
Again.
you skipped the 56. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
best one.
I'm sorry.
That's a 20 out of 10 because the
Oh
56
gosh.
is back. I love it.
Ooh.
Absolutely love it.
I like that. I do. That's a 9.
I'm
9,
mad that they
6.
haven't. There's no 56 merch yet.
How could
Where
you
is
make
it?
a black scheme like that look that good?
9.7.
Okay, now we get.
Hmm.
Do they have a
Yes,
driver
dude.
for him?
No,
Oh,
so that 66 was originally Mike Wallace, I believe, and then they told him he couldn't race.
No.
So
Like the America
5-0.
76 for 1776.
A 1.776.
I hate
Okay.
America.
God bless him.
2.
Okay, there. Okay,
Okay, great.
I like it.
The show falls off the rails here in the third segment.
All right.
5-1 maybe.
6.3.
6.
6-6 to go with the number.
And the last one, Connor Zillich. Another Red Bull.
What did I give? Whatever I
Mm.
gave the Van Gisbergen
6-0.
one.
Okay, I like his car a little bit more.
His is a little better because of the white on the back.
So give me a 6-9.
I actually disagree that I think Shane's car is better, so 4.6, slightly lower. And
Alright.
that's all of them.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, now on an Xfinity. No, just kidding.
Yeah, we're actually gonna make this a 24-hour show.
We
now.
are almost done. This show is drag on way too long. Let's hyphenate these final segments, starting with who are our race picks for the clash at Bowman-Gray. Cody, do you want to go with the 2 winner picks, 1 underdog format?
Yeah, sure. Race winner. I think Logano. He's really good at tracks going to the first time. So give me Logano. Give me for my second pick. I don't really know. I guess I'll go with Blaney. I'll stick with a Penske camp. Blaney. I don't know why. Just got a feeling. And they give underdog. Why not? Let's go to the hometown favorite. Let's go with Burt Myers.
I'll go next. For my race winner pick, give me Ryan Blaney. For my second winner pick, give me Austin Cindric. And then for my underdog, give me Riley Herbst.
Okay, I'll go next.
We document these picks, by the way.
All right.
Mhm.
So my first pick will be Denny Hamlin for my main pick. Secondly, I will pick Christopher Bell. And my underdog, I might have to go with Eric Jones.
Okay,
bad.
so I'll go. So this is gonna be a little biased, but I have reasoning behind it. I think Kyle Busch has a really good shot to win the Bowman-Gray Clash, and that's because if you look at his finishes at LA, P2, P3, P2, average finish of 2.3 there. So I'm saying he wins. My secondary pick, if he doesn't get it, is Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney has shown speed in LA. And then my underdog pick, I'm gonna say Austin Dillon because he's also shown some speed on the quarter miles before.
All right, that wraps it up. We'll try to keep track of that. And we're at the end of the show. That means there's just one thing left to do. For those that have stuck with us all the way through 2+ hours, we'd like to talk to you before we wrap up tonight. Is there anything you'd like to pose a motorsports topic about? Saw Axel, and I remember this from earlier on in the show. He brought up the topic of Austin Dillon getting All-Star eligibility. And as a non-Austin Dillon enjoyer, I'm not sure about that, but at the same time, they didn't take the trophy away from him, so I guess you don't take the All-Star eligibility away either.
I think honestly though, I mean, usually I could argue that, winning Shane Van Gisbergen won at Chicago. His win obviously didn't count towards the playoffs. That's because he wasn't a full-time driver. Austin Dillon doing the move he did. It wasn't the problem with Logano that I had a big problem with. It was when he right hooked Denny Hamlin off the final turn that kind of grinded my gears a little with that win. But I mean, it's always interesting to see what NASCAR has to say. I think he faced a big enough punishment with not being able to go through the playoffs last year and taking away a spot from someone that actually would have deserved it. No offense to Austin Dillon there. I mean, I think him getting the race, the All-Star race, still go for it. See what he can do.
A little off topic, but Cole Chandler in chat said Cody's favorite fruit is chicken tendies. Do you agree with that, Cody?
Yeah, I do like me a good chicken tender.
Did you say favorite food or fruit?
Food.
I heard fruit. I mean,
I heard fruit. Yeah.
no, I'm not. If chicken tenders was a fruit, I'd probably like it too.
I like chicken tenders. That's my go-to.
Very
You
basic.
can't go wrong with chicken tenders.
All right. Well, For a opening stream that had almost 15 concurrent viewers at one point, that's 15 simultaneous viewers, a continually active chat room, and especially those that have stuck with us through the beginning to the end, and a 2 hour and a half show will probably be 1 hour longer than any other show will do for the rest of this show's existence. I can't thank the support enough for those that have joined. Marcus for creating the graphics and advertising it, as well as my other panelists, Derek Smith, Cody Sill. Get used to seeing their faces. We'll hope to have them on in the show in the future. As for the show's future, maybe Monday nights will be the consistent filming date for this. We'll have to see the analytics after this opening show. Without a doubt, we're going to try and work on some things, work on graphics, like I said, kind of a news ticker at the bottom to at least highlight what segment we're talking about, and most importantly, shaving the show and trying to make the talking topics more straightforward, more cut to the chase type deal. We're very, very happy for those that have stuck around. And on behalf of Marcus Vanderlee, Derek Smith, Cody Sill, I am Zach Tefelsky, and you have been watching episode 1 of the Tune-Up. We'd like to thank Dominic Gorden for joining us. And until next time, take care. As of now, same time next week. We'll see you then.